Yes, y'all. All right. All right. All right. Another Saturday night. Another Saturday night. Shoot the breeze. Let me shout out Daily Affirmations by Pauline, who's already in the chat saying good evening. I'm a few minutes late. I apologize. So, good evening to Daily Affirmations by Pauline. And good evening to everyone else who's going to be joining us tonight. I was a little bit late because I wanted to set up the show a little differently tonight. And so that took me a little time, so I apologize. But what we have in store for you tonight, we're going to talk about a topic that was a possible topic for last week, but we didn't get to. Imagine doing all this and the white man still doesn't choose you. Talking about divestors who don't get chosen. We're going to talk about a black officer and how he handled an elderly black person. Real shameful stuff. We're going to talk about Arab, Euro, and now Asian domination. How are you gods and kings and queens with all this domination going on? We're going to talk about HBCUs. Hopefully, Brother Bakari will join us this evening. Are HBCUs being targeted? Or are these all normal incidents? We'll talk about what the incidents are. Lastly, we're going to talk about the United Nations Security Council and their vote to invade Haiti. You guys should have probably been checking that out for the last couple of weeks. Trigger Happy 262 says, "Oh, beautiful setup." So if you're listening to the audio, hop on YouTube, take a look at the episode. I changed the overlay a bit. Kind of wanted to add new colors, and I think I'll do that a little bit more in the future. There's a particular reason why, too, why I'm doing that. So remember, Shoot the Breeze every Saturday, 8 to 11 p.m., right here on the Bitter Medicine Podcast YouTube page. Also, at the top of the link, there's the link to subscribe to the Shoot the Breeze Clips channel, which is why I changed the overlay so that the Shoot the Breeze Clips can be more of an advertisement for the live streams that we have every Saturday night. So make sure share the episode with your peoples, invite a friend or two to join us, and let's have a good time discussing these topics tonight. And lastly, if I don't get to your topic on the Discord, I have no fear. Just since you're already on the Discord, just hit me a nudge, send me a DM and say, "Hey, what about this topic?" Sometimes I skip over something based on what the other topics are already, with the intentions to go back, and I might forget. So you guys just, give me a nudge and say, "Hey, don't forget this one," and I'll put it on the next episode. With all of that said, let's start the show officially, and on the other side, I will drop Shoot the Breeze topic number 1, as well as introduce my panelists tonight. So stay tuned.
You are listening to the Bitter Medicine Podcast on KWAZ Radio. Welcome to the Bitter Medicine Podcast, where it's all about Black empowerment. Our show focuses on Black news and entertainment, arts, science, economics, history, people, and strategies that uplift, empower, and motivate Africans within the diaspora. And now your host, whose favorite color is black, Goku.
Welcome back to the Bitter Medicine Podcast. I am your host, Koku. Just want to remind you guys before we get the show rolling that this show is part of a podcast network. called KWAZ Radio. There are other shows on the network you are invited to tune into.
This is D Webb with the Harsh Reality Podcast, asking you to tune in where we tackle the news of the day that affects our community, only on KWAZ Radio.
Peace, family. This is Oni, inviting you to listen to the Pro-Black Perspective, where Black problems are addressed with Black solutions.
Greetings, fam. Tune in to The Learning Curve with me, the Revolutionary Matron on KWAZ Radio.
You are listening to the Bitter Medicine Podcast on KWAZ Radio.
Yes, indeed. Welcome back to another edition of the Saturday Night Shoot the Breeze, and part of the Bitter Medicine Podcast, one of the segments here. I thank all of you who are here. I thank all of you who will be joining us shortly, I guess, or throughout the night. Before I go any further and drop the first topic of the night, let me introduce my panelists. First one up is Black Steel. How are you this week, Black Steel?
I'm doing well, Koku. Greetings to the panel.
Yes, sir. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being here. Shout out to Anthony McPhail out in the chat, who says peace and blessings to the panel in the chat. So y'all say what's up to Anthony McPhail. Oni is with us this week. How are you this week?
Hey, peace. I don't know if this is going to hold the internet, but hopefully it does. I've been listening to the shows pretty good. I want to chip in, you know?
I appreciate you coming through, man. I know you have you're on the continent, so your internet is not the greatest at times. So let's hope that you can hang out with us for a bit at least. Plus, I also know it's early in the morning there too, so I appreciate you coming through. With that said, let's welcome in Buana this week. Buana, how are you this week?
What's good, Koku, Black Steel, Oni been on vacation for like, what, a month? Hey, man, give me your job, Oni. That's a long time to be on break, man. But, shout out to the panelists, man.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Oni. If you want to respond, go ahead.
Nah, I wasn't going to say that. I was just going to tell you guys it's 3 a.m. It's good times.
Good times. That's good to hear, though. Good times. So let's get right into it then. Let me drop Shoot the Breeze topic number 1 tonight. Shoot the Breeze topic number 1 tonight says, imagine doing all this and the white man still doesn't choose you. Where is the self-respect? This comes with a link, of course, that takes us to, maybe I don't have it up. Oh, hold on. Yeah, I do. This takes us to this link right here. So it's a short video. I'll play it twice, and then we'll discuss it.
We sometimes have that resting bitch face. Get rid of it, because that's going to immediately intimidate a white guy to be like, oh yeah, no, never mind. She's probably not even interested or don't even want to be bothered. Crack a smile, a little wink, or, a little flirtatious type of motion or gesture. That is going to get his attention, baby. Do not be afraid to speak first. Say hello. Hello does not hurt anybody. Actually, believe it or not, sometimes a hello can go a long way. You make somebody's day sometimes by just saying hello.
You have a white boyfriend, do not use the N-bomb in front of him. If you're in his company, don't use the word. And she was like, Keena, I use the word. So he think he can use the word. And I'm like, he think he can.
Keys of keeping a healthy relationship with a man or keeping a man is to keep the peace. Be his peace.
Black women, if you want to date outside of your race, you need to be disciplined. When they say we're going to the gym at 5:30 in the morning, you better be up at 5 o'clock getting ready. They are not going to deal with the lack of discipline. And what we make Black men put up with, they are not going to go for that. And what we make Black men put up with, they are not going to go for that. What we make Black men put up with, they are not going to go for that.
You have a choice. Either self-improve and get your passports, or continue to put up with whatever Black men put up with that other men don't have to put up with.
We sometimes have that resting bitch face. Get rid of it, because that's going to immediately intimidate a white guy to be like, oh yeah, no, never mind. She's probably not even interested or don't even want to be bothered. Crack a smile. Crack a smile, a little wink, or, you know, a little flirtatious type of motion or gesture. That is going to get his attention, baby. Do not be afraid to speak first. Say hello. Hello does not hurt anybody. Actually, believe it or not, sometimes a hello can go a long way. You make somebody's day sometimes by just saying hello.
You have a white boyfriend, do not use the N-bomb in front of him. If you're in his company, don't use the word. And she was like, Keena, I use the word, so he think he can use the word. And I'm like, he think he can use the word.
Deliver it. And also question your partner if he has opposing views on something as a Black woman that you are very passionate about. You want to hear more about that? Get my book, A White Man's Whore.
One of the keys of keeping a healthy relationship with a man or keeping a man is to keep the peace, be his peace. Have this kind of atmosphere where if you're around him, he knows it's peaceful.
Black women, if you want to date outside of your race, you need to be disciplined. When they say we're going to the gym at 5:30 in the morning, you better be up at 5 o'clock getting ready. They are not going to deal with the lack of discipline. And what we make Black men put up with, they are not going to go for that. And what we make Black men put up with, they are not going to go for that. What we make Black men put up with, they are not going to go for that.
You have a choice. Either self-improve and get your passports, or continue to put up with whatever Black men put up with that other men don't have to put up with.
Sometimes.
God damn. What's crazy about that is when I'm around young adult Black women, I tell them much of the same stuff, and they have an issue with it. Like I told some young Black women recently that I think Black women don't do the things that, you know, simple little things that often will get you a good mate. Like, just say hello sometimes. You know, we see each other in a store, say hello. You know, smile. Things of that nature, little things. And Black women that I've told that to, many of them have pushed back against it. But you hear in this video, a woman admits that the shit that they make Black men put up with, this white boy ain't gonna do that. And I find that very troubling. Why is it that our women have that double standard, if you will? You know, why do I have to pay the higher price? It's really annoying, but I said my piece. Let me hear from the panel. Let me start off with Buana. Buana, imagine doing all this and the white man still doesn't choose you. Where is the self-respect?
Well, I find this to be very sad. You know, Coco, if I'm being honest with you, and I wouldn't say because I know I wouldn't say. Of course, we know all of it on the panel know that this is not all Black women. All of us know that, but there are a sector of Black women who believe and think that the white man ice is colder, just as you have a sector of Black men who think that the white woman ice is colder. So when they engage in a relationship that people who come from their own community, their standards and what they do towards one another is not as high. They show their real face, their real I don't give a shit face. But when they are dating people from outside of their community, in particular white men or white women, the relationship changes. Listen to the amounts of adjustments that these women have to go through in just being with a partner who is not of their race. And the adjustments is not a bad one. The adjustments that they are making is in fact a good one. Going to the gym, back in the mind, not being disagreeable, having a level of peace. Shouldn't you have that for your own self first and then your partner, somebody who looks like you? Why would you want to mistreat somebody who looks like you? Because the barrier of entry is so low. I don't have to do much to myself. Therefore, I don't have to do much to a person, my partner, my equal, someone who looks just like me. I don't have to put on makeup. I don't have to go and do my ones and tens for. Well, this is comments from women, young women, younger women, because I have me personally, I have non-starters, non-starters, which means if you show up, if I gauge a woman like this when I date women, if I have a date with you at a particular time, you must be ready for that time. Not be sitting around waiting for you after or hours and hours and hours just for us to go out. You know why I say that? Because you are prepared every morning at 8 o'clock in the morning, dressed and ready to go to work. And you will put on makeup and be ready for that office job. So what you are willing to do for business, you are willing to do if you are willing to do it on a personal level, what you willing to put up with for a business on a business level, then it means you shouldn't be in conversation with one another. I have non-starters. Some women for me, I just watch their nature, I watch what they do, and I watch what they would be willing to engage in and what they are not willing to engage in. If you are willing to mistreat me, or sidestep me, or treat me like some second class individual, we have no longer have need for conversation. I tell Coco this all the time when we have these kinds of relationship discussions. Why bother? There's so many other women out here, black women out here, who are willing to go to the ones and tens to be with a respectable mating partner. Why bother to be with a person who don't want to be with you simply because they don't see you as 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 enough? You don't meet the standard. I just go on with you just to fill my biological needs. Who needs that? Get the hell out of here. I'll date your sister. Maybe she know how to cook some rice and food and pat me on my stomach and rub my belly. So but much respect to these sisters. No disrespect to them. Let them do what they gotta do. I'm just saying there's so many more women out here, and I don't really no need to go to the ones and tens of this nonsense. But good luck to them. Good luck to them. I'll stop there.
But I feel you on that. I will just say that the one kind of slight issue with what you're saying is that you got to pay attention to what these women are doing. These women are looking into a camera, right? Sitting up on the interwebs, on the socials, and they're giving instructions for other women, right? And the issue becomes, in fact, and this is a conversation for another day, but I don't know if you guys noticed something, especially in the West, because only is over on the continent side. It's probably different. But in the West, our relationships are affected by the internet. Like, the days when a man kind of wanted to come home on Friday, with his gin and juice, smokes or whatever, and chill out. Like nowadays, your woman is on Instagram looking at these other women in Dubai. And never mind these women getting shitted on in Dubai, but they're looking at it and then looking at you like, how come I have this no good man here who won't take me on trips and whatnot? So these things do affect even the regular or so-called regular women around us. That's the only caveat I would add to what you're saying, though.
Coco, but Coco,
yeah.
Coco, no relationship is 100% entertainment. Where we go from one high to the next high to the next high. There are sometimes in any serious relationship, boredom kicks in. You don't always have fun all the time. What's this thing in the Western world where you have to be having constant fun in a relationship? What about just being at peace? At peace. You know, it's like we always have to be consistently entertained in a relationship. I think that these women need to stop lying in reference to relationships and tell them sometimes in a relationship, a good committed relationship, you have boredom, you have times of excitement. Yes, you have times of travel and a good time. Sometimes you have down times. Why sell these women the dream of, oh, if you just date me, we'll be traveling every week? That's a lie. That's nonsense. It's just nonsense, man. But like I say, man, I wish them well. I wish them good luck.
Yeah, me, I wish him a F you, quite frankly. Um, should be topic number one. Imagine doing all this and the white man still doesn't choose you. Where's the self-respect? What say you, my brother Oni?
Yeah, so I think so. This is a little bit controversial, but what I'm gonna say is this: I think my favorite movement in America is the ADOS movement. You know, I know a lot of us shouldn't like them, but one of the things that they did was they told us, like Caribbeans, I guess, right? No disrespect to my brother Black Steel, right? But they told us, we Caribbeans, they said, y'all not us. You know, and I think one of the things that I guess I'm not trying to be like one of them Caribbean type, whatever. But what I'm saying is that what we have to come to terms with is that a lot of these problems are American. You know, like this is a uniquely American problem. And I'm not saying that, you don't find this in the Caribbean. I'm not saying that America doesn't lead the way in debauchery, because of course it does, right? But what I'm saying is that a lot of what we're seeing is American. Or even city folk, and you could always either find somebody in the village or find somebody who's not as, didn't lose everything so much, because what I want to say is that these women are toxic, yes, but there's this brother, in fact, he has this YouTube. I was checking it out for a minute. He's I think I maybe Barna knows him because Barna knows the YouTubers, but dude's like a polygamist. He's in Africa. He's a passport bro. And he's always complaining about black women. But then I'm looking at this brother and I'm like, he is so toxic himself. Like, this dude gets into fights with prostitutes more than once. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you do it one time, that makes sense, right? Because you'd expect him to fight, whatever. But this dude's just fighting prostitutes and getting into fights in foreign countries, getting kicked out of dorm after dorm, in after in. And it's like, and he's like, man, black women are so toxic. And it's like, we don't say it, but and this is the trouble with the passport bro thing, is that some of these dudes, some of these Americans, let's just call them what it is, are really toxic too. I was just walking with the sister, it was 3 a.m. or something, right? 2 a.m. And these brothers were there, and I don't know why this sister had to ask me at this point in time, but these three brothers were there walking slowly in front of us. And then, after we passed them, actually one of them says Habari, Zayako, or Habari Zakazi, something like that, like how's your work or something like that. And then I was just Zuri Mambo Paul, I don't know what I'm saying, right? But she didn't, I don't know why she said it in English, she says, can you fight? Now, why is she saying that while the dude's there? I don't know, but I guess she knows they don't speak English, right? But she said she didn't feel too safe. But man, I'm telling you, man, in this country, you feel safe. Okay, now it might be because I don't know the language. Maybe it is not safe. I don't know. But so far, nothing. Like, brothers be walking up on you middle of the night and just, how was your day? Did they have a good day? Just chilling, just mind their business. And bear in mind that you are somewhere where you make 20 times as much as everybody else. You know what I'm saying? And there's no violence. There's no crime. Now, people are saying there is violence and crime. I don't think so, but obviously there probably is. But whatever. My point being, though, but like, if you were in America and you walking at 2 a.m., you got to be looking over your back. You don't feel safe, and you're not safe. Everybody knows you're not safe, and so I'm saying this to say that even though we say these sisters got something wrong with them, we know that it's both demographics. And then what we're not picking up on, as let's say Caribbeans or even as Pan-Africanists, whatever, is that it's really a local problem. That when you leave Brooklyn, you're not getting the problems of New Jersey, or whatever city in New Jersey, right? You're not getting the problems of Jersey. You're not getting the problems of Las Vegas. You're not getting so forth. And when you just leave America, you're not getting the problems of America. And this right here, this toxic woman persona, right? It's an American thing. And even people here in Africa know, oh yeah, that person, that sort of personality, that's a American, like it's just an American cultural thing that they just developed. Just like how, you could expect a Jamaican girl to be like, just rude for you, for whatever. It's the same thing, and we just have to come to terms with that. And so while I don't agree with the quote unquote passport bros, I'm gonna tell people, especially us who are, from out of the country, like we're not even from America, right? And we're looking at America like, what's going on? You guys need to clean your act. The act's not going to be clean. And this is what I wanted to say just finally. I know Juan's like, oh yeah, this guy. He's back. No, what I want to say finally is this. Marcus Garvey, inside of one of Marcus Garvey's books, no, Amy Sachs Garvey, his wife, she wrote down that I think Marcus Garvey was saying that one of the reasons why his movement didn't succeed is because the Americans have a big money culture. And so they're talking in 1920s about a big money culture in America. Even Du Bois was writing about, he's like, oh, if Atlanta goes the way of so on and so forth, we're going to have so much corruption, blah, 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 blah. Du Bois is writing about a money culture in 1919, and this is 100 years later, unchecked. And you can't check it because America is like the money capital. So I was just saying, yeah, man, it doesn't make any sense to complain about these women. It doesn't make any sense to complain about the men. It just makes sense to just distance yourself. And that's what some people do. They come to this country, they distance themselves, and then we say, why are you distancing yourself? Oh, no, you got to so forth. But it's just common damn sense. If people don't share your values, if people are really hating their own women and men, you got to just say, okay, let me back up. It just makes a lot of sense. But anyway, that's all I'm saying.
Welcome back, Oni. Welcome back. No, I like everything you had to say. I think the thing that people just don't talk about is how it starts to creep over the boundaries. At one time, certain women did certain things. They stayed a certain locale, etc., and it kind of stayed as a minority type of thing within a community over there or down there. But now, this kind of thing is really becoming the culture. Like I talked about on the show before, we're really in a whore culture type thing out here in the West. It's all transactional. I talked about that on Forecast Show with Considerate Cheek and Bakari. Like, it's all transactional. Imagine, me and Black Seal talked about it a couple weeks ago. Imagine you have to cancel a date with a woman and she tells you to send her something for the inconvenience. And it's these types of folks on the screen who are kind of pushing those types of messages. And that's the issue that I have. Black Seal would say to everything you heard and see.
So I don't know. I don't agree with Oni that it's an American thing, because we all know that we can definitely find plenty of sellouts and coons on the continent. I think we don't really examine and really question how being in a white dominated world affects your psyche and how you internalize it over time. But how that affects women as well. We always talk about how it affects men, but these women, they're to the point to where they know how to behave. They know certain behaviors that they think that men want, but they reserve that for white men because in their minds, Black men aren't good enough to deserve to be smiled at, to be talked to be punctual. They just niggas. So who cares how they feel, right? To the point where this woman has made a book, A White Man's Whore. And she would rather be a white man's whore than a Black man's wife. So it's just, to me, I think we don't really examine how living in a white dominated world has affected the psyche of Black women, because to the point where they not only hate the Black men in their lives, but to where they feel the white men are superior and they deserve to be treated better just because they're white. So they would take a white trash man, versus a esteemed brother, and this white man would be better just by the basis of his white skin. So this is a problem that we can see that is affects Black people all across the diaspora, from the bleaching of the skin, the desire to be close to whiteness as possible, to where you would get with a white man, not call yourself a white man's wife, a white man's whore. This so you see the closer they get to whiteness, the more they degrade themselves. I know this is probably not a great number of Black women who feel this way. This is really more of just a very loud minority. But I think because of the internet, they're able to spread more of their toxic message. And you will find Black people, Black women who have become disillusioned, who have been hurt in their past by a Black man, veer towards this line of thinking. And these women should, I don't know. I definitely believe that if you go over there, stay over there. If you want to remove yourself from the Black community, that's perfectly fine. But just know there's no coming back. And I think that the benefit to these videos is that we can see these women's mindset. And the internet is forever. You're not going to hide that. So once they get slutted out, once they get tired of being a white man's whore, that way they can't sneak back in the community with the Black power fist and the afro. But yeah, it's just really just very disturbing how they see the white man has an intrinsic value just because he's white, and they don't understand how that has affects their mentality as well. So I'll leave it there, folks. Thank you.
Well, I want to add this. They do come back to the community. Like there's tons. Sometimes they come back and say, "Oh, I used to hold out to the white man. That's why I know a little more." And then we celebrate them and we look and listen to them and say, "Oh, look, there's proof," and so on and so forth. We don't, there's an old video of Claude Anderson where he says he's at some, there's a bunch of people, like a bunch of ethnic groups that are talking to a group, and they're like, at the end of this thing, he's like, let's talk about accountability. I want to talk about accountability. And then at some point, I think the Native American guy was like, look, we ain't going to talk about that shit because your people is the only people who do not hold people accountable. If a Native American wants to go hang out with white folk, we don't take them back. But if a Black person want to go hang out with white folk, y'all have at a cookout next week. And this was like a Native American guy telling this to Claude Anderson. Claude Anderson, repeat the story. And it's like, that's the truth. It's the sad truth, and everybody else can see it. And I just wanted to just talk about Trigger Happy's comment about, the thing is this: I was just passing by the bar because, like I said, it's 3 a.m. A whole bunch of prostitutes out there, but the difference between the prostitutes and like what Bit of Medicine was saying about the culture here is that in America is that the prostitutes are just the prostitutes, and everybody knows them. Like that's what they're doing. That's how they pass the time. That's how they make their living, right? These women are just, like it's just different, But anyway, I'll just say that.
I don't personally think. I kind of agree with Black Steel, and when Black Steel says that this is a loud minority, and this gutter culture is a borderless gutter culture. It's borderless because the same gutter women and men who spread their toxic nonsense all over the internet in the United States, there exists elements like that throughout the Black diaspora. And we have to be on. There's gutter culture in Nigeria. There's gutter culture in Tanzania. You know that, like you say, it's Saturday night. There's gutter culture in the Caribbean. Definitely. The difference is the gutter, my Western brothers and sisters who want to spread this toxic gutter culture, they have access to the internet, access to media. So we are able to see more of it as opposed to areas where they don't have as much access to see that gutter culture. And unfortunately, you know, how the internet works is this negativity is something that is of interest to people who are well informed, who are properly socialized, and who are poorly socialized. You know, all of us come to look at the to drink from the trough of this smut that is on YouTube on a daily basis. This is the reason why their numbers are so high, their views are so high. Intelligent people among the poorly informed people like to watch this kind of nonsense, you know. But I wouldn't limit it to a geographical area. Like when he is saying is this is, but when he says this is some problems that exist are first world problems. Some problems that exist are American problems as opposed to Caribbean problems. That's an actual fact. But I would say that the gutter culture sometimes that we look at is something that is borderless. Just as Black Steel was suggesting that you have people who engage in bleaching their faces in the Caribbean. You have some American women who go all to the Dominican Republic or even in South Florida or whatever to get butt surgeries and their lips enhancements and all manner of different things they're doing to themselves, you know, and then they spread it all over the internet. So I think that that part of gutter culture is a borderless culture. You know, that is not exclusive to just the West. But I would just leave it there, just put it there and say that.
But I want to agree with everything you just said. That was going to be my response to Trigger Happy as well. The transactions that occur between Black men and women on the continent in Africa, they don't have a majority whore culture or gutter culture, as Buana calls it, right? They don't have a majority of that culture. So whatever those transactions are, and Oni talked about it the last time he was in TZ. Whatever that is not based in this whoredom thing, and that's the difference. The difference here is that we know it's based in that. So when I bring up the woman who charged the inconvenience fee because the guy canceled the date, we know what that's based in. That's not based in no tradition of the peoples in a certain area where, you know, if a woman comes to see you, you pay, you know, you give us some monies or something like that. No, we know it's not based in that. You know what I mean? So that's the difference. If there's no last thoughts here, or if there's any last thoughts, I guess now will be the time to drop them. If not, I want to thank you guys for that discussion. I also want to say what's up to KW Dawn 7, Ua Bantuam, and Joe, who entered the chat. So thank all of you for coming through. Should Breeze topic number 2 says, why would a Black officer not handle an elder with care? What has happened to the younger generation? Of course, this came with a link that takes us to People magazine. An article titled, "A Black Church Deacon Died After Being Tasered. His arresting officer was just fired." Right? Johnny Hallman, 62, died in August after being tased during a traffic incident. So I guess these are the people, the cop and the other person. Oh, it looks like there's a video. I'll play the video instead. All right, I realize it has these captions that you can't see on the screen. It's all good. Johnny Holman Sr. was reportedly driving home from Bible study with fried chicken and an apple pie to share with his wife for dinner when he took a sharp turn. His white Chevrolet Silverado careened into the front of another vehicle on a late Thursday night in August, according to the police report obtained by People. Within hours of the accident, Hallman, who was a church deacon, according to CBS News and the Associated Press, was determined to be the quote unquote at fault driver by police. He was handcuffed after allegedly being uncooperative, then tasered and became unconscious and rushed to an Atlanta hospital where he was eventually pronounced dead. Now his arresting officer, Kieran Kimbrough, who is also a black man, has just been fired. The incident remains an active and ongoing investigation by the Georgia Bureau of Investigation. The agency confirms the people and criminal charges may be filed against Kimbrough in the coming months. Every single person, this is a quote, and life in the city of Atlanta matters to me, says Atlanta Police Chief. Part of my job is to assess, evaluate, and adjust how this police department is carrying out its sworn mission to serve and protect the citizens of this city. So this is the victim. Sharbaum stressed that his decision came only after a diligent review of all the facts while ensuring the due process of his officers. Kimbrough's termination with the Atlanta Police Department, said in the statement, is allegedly based on failing to follow the department's standard operating procedures, was not yet official as of early Wednesday afternoon, according to records listing him as an active duty police officer in good standing, provided to people by the Georgia Police Officer Standard Council. So, here's a case of a black officer doing the most, as they say. You know, once more we see that. The prompt asks, why would this black officer not handle an elder with care? What has happened to the younger generation? Let me start with Oni on this one. Oni, what say you?
I guess I'm gonna repeat it. This is the problem you'll see in America, unfortunately. And I'm saying that because I don't think these people even got tasers. That's how advanced as technology, man. They walking around with like shotguns and shit. It's weird, man. Like they got these big ass shotguns, like from the 1920s. It's a different city altogether. Why would he not? Yeah, I mean, that's a sad thing though. Like that's also like that's like that thing. Like I said, America's a police state. It's like I don't want to use the term because there's other stuff in the news. But they say there are like some places that are like open air prisons, And I used to say that America was like a minimum security prison, People, I think it was KRS-One who was talking about the overseer and the officer and how they're the same. This is it. I mean, the kind of like police brutality is just something that's gonna happen in the West. Okay, it's going to happen as long as you're living under white folk. It's going to happen, and the reason why I say it's going to happen is because at one point I was reading Lenin in Russia, okay, and he's talking about, oh man, we dealing with police brutality. Okay, so if Lenin in Russia is talking about police brutality, they're saying, hey, look, you know what, the policing in the Western world is different from the policing in the African world. The police in the African world, they are probably going to try to scam you of money, going to try to ask you for money in some sort of fashion. But you know what? Money versus my life, money all the time. That's all I'm saying.
Appreciate that, Oni. Thank you. We have from Black Steel. Black Steel, what say you?
I think Brother Oni sees Africa through rose-colored glasses. I really do. Because have we so quickly forgotten what happened in Nigeria with the whole SARS movement, how Nigerian police were beating other black people? This is not a Western problem. Again, this is an anti-black world. And when you have black people who internalize anti-black ideas, you're going to see this. Because let's be honest, I believe it was James Baldwin who said, if you're going to send a cop, if you're going to call the police, for God's sake, send a white cop. Because we understand, we know that black cops do the most because they go out their way to show that they are a part of the white establishment. So their brutality will be worse than the white cops' brutality. I'll never forget, I was driving. I was coming home from the airport and I was speeding. I got stopped by a white cop. He pulled me over. I'm in the car with my kid. He was maybe 7 years old. The cop gave me a ticket. He said, "Hey man, just slow down. I don't like to bust people in front of their kids, so don't speed." Okay, cool. Couple weeks later, I don't have a seatbelt on. Pulling out my apartment. Black cop pulls me over. He starts screaming, "Keep your hands on the goddamn wheel! Keep your hands on the wheel!" I'm like, "Yo, okay, all right." So this black cop was attempting to escalate the situation. He was an asshole. But it goes back to what I'm saying, how black police officers can be more aggressive towards black people than white police officers. That same black cop will not talk to a white person that way. So there's a definite racial hierarchy within the world at which black people are seen as at the bottom. There's no level of abuse that's inappropriate for black people. And you can see this old man. This old man was not a threat. He might have been upset. He might have been angry. But this police officer, had that been an old white man, I'm pretty sure he would have found a way to de-escalate this situation. This black man had to learn his place. There were plenty of black overseers on the plantation. There are plenty of black people who were in charge of other black people during slavery, during Jim Crow. So what it is that it's not so much why would a black officer not handle an elder with care? He didn't see him as an elder. He saw him as just another nigga. And in his mind, I'm wearing the uniform. I'm better than that nigga, no matter how old he is. He's going to obey me. He doesn't obey me, I'm going to use force against him because he's black. There's no level of violence that's too much for black people. And it's not an American thing, because we can see this same violence from police forces in Africa and the Caribbean. What were the ones in Haiti? Tonton Macoute, how violent they were towards the people, their own people, because they see, again, when you're dealing with internalized anti-blackness, you're going to see your brothers and sisters as less than. You're going to see black as less than, and they're deserving of whatever level of violence you choose to mete out. I'll leave it there, Coco. Thank you.
It's kind of like the Latino kid rolling with the black crew, right? You got to keep your eye on that fucker. You got to wonder, what is he doing to earn his keep here? So when you see a black cop, that's just a gang called the cops. You got to wonder, what is he doing to earn his keep here? That's the sad thing about that situation. You immediately have to be suspicious of a black cop, because what is he doing to earn his keep here? Let's hear from Buana on this. Buana, what's it?
Yeah. So my thing is, what is the difference between a black officer and a white officer? Both of them are considered to be agents of the state. They carry out and enforce the laws of the state. If they were protecting and serving or servants of the people, quote unquote, then you would, the factor of the younger generation being responsible for the older generation's upkeep and ensuring that they are treated well, etc., etc., etc. You would find places maybe like Japan, where where the officer is seen to serve the community as opposed to carry out the laws of the community, or no, of the state, These are two different things. One is seeing the person as a elderly individual, an elderly person from his community, and the other one is seeing the person just as a citizen, just as a citizen. Take out the context, the elderlyship, take out the context of race, take out the context of gender, that person is just a citizen existing within a state, you know. But I would also say this: um, when um, when Black Steel talks about policing in the Caribbean and in Africa, and in reference to what Oni said, we all are people bound to our experiences, our personal experiences. Now, if Oni sees the police officers in Tanzania as very passive and non-aggressive, that's a beautiful thing. And I wish him I hope he has that experience throughout Africa. You know, I hope he never has to encounter an experience where there's any hostility in terms of policing in Africa. But Oni also has roots in Jamaica, and policing in Jamaica is they have one of the most atrocious records, you know, in terms of the treatment of Black people in Jamaica. We don't even have to go on about the Bahamas, man, because it's a jungle out here. Like, let me just put it like that. And policing in Bahamas is extremely brutal. And when the tourists come around, you see the smiling faces come out. You know, they've suddenly all of a sudden learned this idea of civility. They can be very, very civil when the tourists come around. But in terms of how they treat the people, that people who look like them, who look like their mothers and fathers and uncles and cousins, it's much more brutal, aggressive, indifferent, meaner. You know, policing in the Caribbean is atrocious. And I do believe it's internalized self-hatred. I do believe that. I do believe that. But these are the things that we face and try to fight against. And we can continue to talk about these things. And when we're in situations where we can publicly talk about it, you know, and where we can influence the minds of people, we'll do that. But unfortunately, as Oni was suggesting, or Black Steel, you're living in a police state. The Bahamas, I feel, is very much a police state as well. So there are things you could say publicly and things you can't say publicly, because people will show up at your door afterwards. But yeah, I would say that this is and also and lastly, we are a reflection of the older generation. So whatever the younger generation decides to engage in, they are only a reflection of what came before them. You can't disconnect the older generation from the younger generation. So you really have to pair into what the older generation was doing, you know, to answer that question of what's happening to the younger generation. You know, you can't what Malcolm X say, you can't judge the leaves of a tree without reflecting on the roots of that tree. You know, so that's what I would say about this particular prompt. But I'll leave it right there.
Well, let me add about the sorry. Okay.
No.
Let me add about the rose tinted glasses. Yeah, I mean, I think so. I mean, look, I'm not going to say, but when I say Africa, I don't really mean all of Africa. You know, Africa has 54 countries. You know, some of them, like Black Steel will point out, are, you know, tyrannical, you know, dictatorships. Nigeria, I don't even mess with Nigerians. You know what I mean? Like I realize in retrospect, I don't even in retrospect, I realize a lot of the worst takes you're gonna find are gonna come from Nigerians. You know, not like I'm you know, when it comes to Nigeria, I agree with Trump. You know what I'm saying? I'm just joking. No, but seriously, yeah. So like, yeah, it's not every country is the same. And I mean, as far as like what Barna was saying about, oh, well, you can't criticize the government in Barbados, or the Bahamas, right? But you can't criticize the government. The thing is that, yeah, that's I think one of the things that we do is that, you know, like we have these, like America is the land you can criticize your government. You know, it brags about it and it tells everybody, yo, go and criticize your government. That's not a real thing. You know what I mean? Like outside of America, it was never a thing. You know, I remember I was watching this, you know, that show. Basically, the American president stands down, and then the British king is like, "What the fuck is he doing?" Like nobody does that. You know, like America was a really innovative country that's inspired quite a few people around the world, like term limits for leaders, and you know, criticizing the government and those kind of stuff. Those are unique American things. honestly. Not uniquely American. And I'm not saying that you didn't have that in pre-colonial Africa in some capacity or what have you. But what I'm saying is that as far as the Western world is concerned, America innovated or introduced quite a few, civil liberties that we don't really understand. So yeah, I wouldn't call a country a police state because you can't criticize the government. Criticizing the government is really a new thing, in terms of Western governance. Like if you're descended from a Western system, obviously in an African system, you could criticize your government, but you also didn't really have the same types of government. But what I'm saying is this, long story short, yeah, there are definitely certain countries in Africa that aren't great. When I'm saying Africa right now, I'm talking about Tanzania, I'm talking about Ghana. Okay? I think Black people should look into which countries are good for them. And then if you see that, the police are killing, this person, that, so on and so forth, then you just don't go there. And that's the trouble I find with a lot of people in America is that they're like, hey, look, there are worse examples in Africa. So what? You're in a bad example yourself. You're in a bad situation yourself. You could pick from 54 countries. America's not better than 54 countries, on any list. No, I'm joking. But like, America's not better than all 54 countries in Africa. So you just have to go to one country, and that's it. It's kind of like with regards to women. It doesn't matter if there's 100 terrible women if you find one good one. If you find one good woman, it doesn't matter how many bad women there are. Just the same. If you find one good country, doesn't matter how bad. So I would say in terms of that, it's just Ghana. It's Ghana and Tanzania. I don't know about any other countries, but Ghana and Tanzania, that's a safe bet for most Black folk.
Appreciate that, Oni. I thought there might have been some other comments there. Appreciate that discussion. Trigger Happy in the chat here says, honestly, too, if you want power and to maintain a revolution, freedom of speech makes absolutely no sense. LOL. That's an opening to your enemies. With that said, we're making good time tonight. Let's go to Shoot the Breeze topic number 3. Shoot the Breeze topic number 3 tonight says Arab domination, Euros domination, and now Asian domination. How are you gods and kings and queens? This, of course, came with a link. We'll watch it, and then we'll discuss.
Notice that's happening. So the brother Joshua Mapanga is pointing out something that he had noticed that's happening with Chinese that's coming into the African continent. I want you to listen to what's actually happening, all the Chinese men that's being sent to the continent and what their strategy is while sending all these men to the African continent. Let's roll that.
The Chinese are not just here to expand land issues. They are here to reorganize a population, preservation of their own nation in other countries. They're overpopulated now, so they're pushing some of them here. Not only that, it's also a 30-year plan to take over certain parts of Africa. So the prisoners that are being sent here to come and work, they don't bring their wives. They come alone. So of the 153, 400,000 Chinese that have come with the 3, 4, 5, 11 billion investment, that number could be much more. All of them are bachelors. The only few executives have brought their wives, but the rest are prisoners and bachelors who now are making children in Africa. And these children will be Chinese and African, but being African, these children are Chinese, who are going to be educated in our system, who will receive scholarships to go back to China and come back and become presidents and ministers in Africa. And by right, they are citizens because we're born here. It's a strategy. In 30 years' time, you will call me back. I hope I'll still be able to talk. And you will recite this when you have the first vice president, the first minister, the first president in one of the African countries being a crossbreed between Chinese and African.
I mean, are we seeing this happening?
Go to villages and you see those children running up and down. In Zimbabwe, we have them. In Uganda, you have them. In Kenya, you have them. It's insignificant now. Let's not talk much about it. There are women right now who are pregnant with Chinese kids. There are some who are breastfeeding Chinese kids. And it's going. It's going. We saw it in Ghana, the Rawlings, the colored guy. How did a colored man end up as a president of a country? There's nothing. We saw it in Botswana. How did Cesar Kama become the president when he's a colored? His mother is British, and his father was Tswana, and the father was a president. 2 generations later, he became the president himself. So it's nothing funny. This is exactly what is happening.
When you see the men of any population coming in large numbers and there's no women coming along with them, who do you think they're going to be with? I mean, come on. Look at the situation right here, even in America. You have all these military-age men that are coming across the southern border every day. Who do you think they're eventually going to be with when they're here? Now, when you look at China, China has always strategized at doing things without using their military. If you ever read the book, The Art of War, it teaches you about waging war without firing a shot. And this is what China has been doing for a very long time with their Belt and Road initiatives, with all their debt trap, loans they have been doing with people. Now people can say, oh, well, they took the loans. They should have read the agreement. But it's kind of like you giving somebody who can't afford to pay back something, a loan, and you say, okay, I'm going to do a predatory loan on you, right? No different than a lot of school loans. It's very predatory in nature. That's why a person can borrow $50,000, end up owing $500,000. It's predatory, right? Same thing. In order for that to happen, listen to what he said about it. He was talking about Jerry Rawlings. That was with the president of Ghana at one point in time. That's exactly what he was referring to. But yes, it could happen. Now, since you guys are in the African continent, you make your own laws and rules. Well, maybe you can make a law that says that, in order to be a president or certain, government positions, you have to come from 2 parents of this particular country, right? And what I mean by 2 parents, I mean 2 African parents that has a lineage to that particular country, and anybody else, well, you can't really do that. You can serve other places, but you can't serve as president. They can say that if that's what they choose to do, if it's becoming a problem. But you have to understand, in China, they're overran with men because of their one-child policy they had for a very long time. When 2 parents would get a child, they find out if it's going to be a boy or a girl. If it's a girl, a lot of times they were getting rid of that child. And because in their society, they prioritize more sons. Like a lot of another country, India is like that, overrun with a bunch of men. So don't be surprised if a bunch of Indian men start coming to the African continent too, because you have all these men and not enough women. So of course, if they're there, the women's there, yeah, they're gonna get with. And yeah, the reason why they are in the villages with all these, you're talking about Chinese children, is because they're working in the mines over there, getting the resources. Well, most of those mines are in the areas where the villages are at. I mean, come on, you already kind of know what's going to happen. So it's for the brothers on the continent to get on code and shore some things up and make sure these things will happen. But how Black folks are, and I notice we are like this globally, we'll have Black people warning us about particular things that could happen, but we don't listen. We never do until we get in the thick of it, or until we actually see what this brother's talking about, like a person that come from a Chinese parent and an African parent, but they look more Chinese. They don't look African anymore, right? Because you have those people. And then now you're going to say something about it. But no, you should have fixed that long time ago. But let me know what y'all think about what our brother is saying. Let's say he's just putting out a warning what could happen. And usually when you bring out these warnings, people don't like that sort of thing. But y'all on the continent, y'all better take heed to what this brother's telling y'all. Because everybody and their mama is trying to get into that continent and continue to take your resources. that's happening with.
Yeah, I think we have to just accept that the world is just ruthless, man, and people develop tactics to better carry out their ruthlessness. The Chinese are doing a thing, not like many, like Trigger Happy in the chat is saying. The Chinese probably not as bad as the West, I guess. But to me, domination is domination. But instead of coming through on some brute force type shit, they come as friends. They pull these little deals with the governments and they send their people. And this guy made an interesting point. They send their prisoners. So it's some low life types who they send, who come over and charm and impregnate these local women. Like we gotta understand the world has tactics, man, and a lot of the world's tactics is against you, or against us, I should say. And we gotta start being able to figure this shit out quick. We gotta figure this shit out quick. These guys coming in with 30-year plans, and they're like in year 10. We gotta figure this shit out. I'm sorry, I had to give my little rant there. Black Steel, what say you to this?
No, I appreciate that, Koku. Just because you're the host, I mean, you can't have an opinion, so I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, this is just history repeating itself, really. There was a book, I believe, that was called Daughters of the Trade. Talked about how the white Europeans would come in and have children with black women, and then those children would facilitate slave trading. It's called Daughters of the Trade: Atlantic Slavers and Interracial Marriage on the Gold Coast. So basically, African women and men from Denmark would intermarry, and then those children that they would have, their allegiance would be to their father's people, and they were facilitating and operating the slave trade on the continent. So history is really just repeating itself. It's really tragic that it's repeating itself. African people are again from a position of weakness, even though we have the resources, because we're not organized, because we don't have an African ideology or thought process. Other nations can come in and take advantage of that. And China is, like he was saying in the video, because of China's one-child policy back in the 70s and 80s, it was always preferred that child be a boy and not a girl. So China is dealing with a severe imbalance of men versus women. So there's not enough women available for the men. They're going to come overseas, like he's saying, and this is just a way to infiltrate. I think that trade is good, but it cannot be a trade imbalance. I think we have to consider that, first of all, the world is anti-black. So you're going to have to operate within that system. You're going to have to protect your interests. We have no permanent friends. We have only permanent interests, and black people should be on guard and be wary. Why are they sending Chinese workers? Can black workers not do the work? There's nothing wrong with our abilities. So why is it that the Chinese need to send their workers to complete their projects? I don't know if maybe that's something they're insisting on. It's something we definitely got to watch on the continent, because again, we've been here before. So I'll go ahead. I'll let the next panelist speak. Thank you, Coco.
Thank you for that, Carl. In the chat, Trigger Happy 262 Plus said, that's why Gavi said, in the world of wolves, race first is our weapon. While I may not equivocate nations, people who are vulnerable and have no solid identity will be eaten up by other people. I agree with that. Caleb Don 7 says, sadly, a majority of Africans on the continent haven't read The Destruction of Black Civilization by Chancellor Williams. By the way, you guys, if you don't know, if you're new here, Carl and Black Steel and I used to do a book club back in the day, and we reviewed that same book that KW7 is talking about. This you guys could look up book reviews and listen to what we had to say. But Bakari says everybody got their women except us. Isn't that interesting? Everyone guides their women except us. That's a pretty interesting thing too. That's a pretty interesting thing too, Bakari. Real talk. Oni, what say you to all of it so far?
All right, yeah. I didn't even hear all of it, but I could see the question. I heard some of the thing, and I think when we talk about this yellow scare, this yellow fear, this white boy wants us to have, it's just so ironic considering where we are. And I want people to picture this. I didn't want to talk about, people say it's the Levant. I don't know what the Levant means, but they say it's the Levant. But imagine the people being bombed, right? Talking about, on the day of the warning of the bombing, deciding to talk about geopolitics, in the sense of talking about, something that's going on in Turkey or Kurdistan, like you would think to themselves, you are in a situation, right? You're looking at, Turkey. That's what you would ask. I don't know if you guys can hear me or not. Because the video paused, so I don't know. You guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. It was breaking up for me a little bit, but yeah.
All right. So what I'm saying is that when we talk about about China, so the person who wrote the question, I can just guess who it is. The person who wrote the question says Arab domination, Euro domination, right? And then Asian domination. Now, here's the trouble, right? If you really know the Arab domination, there was a time period that happened. What was that? The spread of Islam. Okay? So the spread of Islam was settler colonialism, as we've seen recently. And it was a bunch of Arabs leaving, Arabia, I guess, or the West, leaving Western Asia and populating all over the world, right? They were the global superpowers at the time, and they took over Southern Europe, they took over Northern Africa, and they went into Western Africa, so on and so forth. They were, and obviously some parts of Asia, they were really spread out, but they were, a power at that point. But the main point is that it was a mass migration, one, and two, they were engaging in settler colonialism, right? They were inhabiting these spaces. Now you fast forward to what was European domination. Euro domination, again, these white folk were creating colonies. They were doing settler colonialism, right? They were doing colonialism. What the Chinese are doing is
seems like only cut out, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, only you cut out there. In the chat, Beyond Fair says the Chinese don't have podcasts talking about blacks. They doing the work. Only blacks waste time talking about the white man or others, but not doing the real work. Always looking for a shortcut. Okay, so that's a jab, I guess, against us. Trigger Happy 262 Plus says at the moment, we have to admit we are limited. Some good news though, Burkina Faso and Russia struck a deal on nuclear plants. Imagine if Burkina Faso became an African China. Beyond Fair says an economic shortcut, a spiritual religious shortcut, but not during the real work. I guess continuing his thought from earlier, just keep the whites, Arab, Jew, rod in your mouth. No real building, just talk. All right, well, be unfair. You let us know what you've been building.
He's just running his mouth. How does he know the Chinese don't have podcasts? Of course they have podcasts. Of course they have talk. Anybody who says, "Oh, you're just talking," if you go out there without a plan, without you do work without a plan behind it, you know what I'm saying? You're gonna fail. The reason they have a 30-year plan is because they sat down and they've talked and they've worked these things out. You can't just go out there and do stuff without working things out. And that's what we need to do.
Absolutely. I agree 100%. KW7 says the book, The Daughters of the Trade, is being held hostage behind a $188 paywall on Amazon. That's the book only mentioned. Real Black Jump and RBG is out in the chat. He says the Chinese has a whole store called Nigger King. China is racist as fuck. So yeah, those are some of the comments from the chat. Oni's internet is giving him some issues, as we can see. But Buana, you haven't spoken yet. What say you to all of it?
Yeah. So in the prompt, it says China's plan to take over Africa, and the presumption in that train of thought is because China has a plan to do something, their plan will be successful. Another presumption in that is because Chinese have a plan, it means that no one presumes that Africa has a plan in response to the Chinese plan. Also, there's not a suggestion where if Africa has a plan and the Chinese has a plan, the African plan will prevail over the Chinese plan. The presumption is since China has a plan, they will be successful because Negroes don't never think for themselves. That's the presumption in that statement. And then you have a black man, Mofongo or whatever, comes up with his statistical analysis for the future of Africa or where Africa is going to be headed. Okay, that's his opinion, and he has a right to that. He mentions, though, within that diatribe, Jerry Rawlins. Now, if you know the history of Ghana, how Jerry Rawlins got into power, people could say, well, he was of mixed race heritage. Yes, but ideologically, where was he? Where was he? Because that's what is of great importance to me. Because in that same Ghana, when they overthrew Kwame Nkrumah, which he shouldn't have been overthrown, you had Negroes who replaced him, who were greedy, gravelicious, and they were worse to Ghana as opposed to Jerry Rawlins with his mixed race self. So ideologically, I won't find out where you are because I know many black-faced people, mother and father, who don't necessarily have Africa or African people in their mind or in their heart. So that can't be the only basis for me to believe or back you, But needless to say, I'll also say this. Yes, ideologically, China has a plan, but ideologically, you see in pockets where Pan-Africans are going to places where the military, the African military in places like Burkina Faso or whatever, have started to exert their military might in certain areas and say, we want to be able to be rulers of our own society. Now you see Kemi Seba, who was a Pan-African, take a trip to Burkina Faso, and he was embraced in that society. So now you have an ideological basis along with a military basis. So who will be successful in the future? No one could really tell. But this statement is to suggest that black people can't think for themselves. The person who wrote this prompt, and I could guess, should really look into his own history. Because there was a time when the French wanted to re-enslave a bunch of enslaved Haitians in Haiti. And they think that military, they were superior to them because they was enslaving them at the time. Unfortunately, they found out that the person who was more strategic won the day and was able to beat the military might of France, Europe, Spain, etc., etc., etc. So just because a person have a plan don't necessarily mean he's exactly. Mike Tyson say everybody has a plan until he get punched in the face. They always underestimate the Negro all over this planet. And I feel like in some ways it is an Achilles heel for our enemies and competitors because they underestimate so many of us. They put us all in the same category and say, y'all Negroes over there don't think for yourselves. The black man has no brain. Therefore, we'll always be able to conquer and dominate. This is their biggest Achilles heel because it's an overestimation in what will actually happen. And we feed into that nonsense. Some of us, Marcus Garvey say the world is based on bluff. Some of us are able to see through the bluff. And all I am trying to get my brothers like Razuli to see is you must see through the bluff of this whole idea of domination and control. Domination, they will be successful because they have a long-term plan. Negroes can think too, brother. You know, come out of that darkness and into the light. You know what I mean? And so I'd start thinking in a more positive manner about yourself first. About yourself first. You know, this presume idea that they will always win and dominate and conquer over, get that out of your system. That is a bad medicine to be swallowing every day, brother. It's only gonna kill you. You know what I mean? Come out of that. Come out of that. But I'll leave it there. I'll leave it there because I'm rambling.
No, you're not rambling. Trigger Happy 262 said while you were talking, I don't know if I got from the prompt that China's plan will automatically work, but more so a warning. But if we are being honest, where exactly is our plan if Africa isn't unified? You wanna comment on that, Buana, before I go to Oni?
This whole I see now you get two different things now. You get one man saying that we on a podcast show discussing and talking. Ideologically, this is the basis where any plans are laid, discussions and talking. When Hitler went to start the Nazi party, he used to go into German pubs and speak to the drinkers, the workers before he ever had a Nazi party, etc. And I could go down the line and explaining how many groups of people we need to have these what do you call it? Think tanks, rooms where black men are getting together and actively thinking. Because they used to brag in British Parliament or American Parliament that they have removed all light from the Negro. And the life meaning education, knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. And for 400 years, he's been denied that. The fact that we are being engaged in an environment where we can intellectually spar with one another and sharpen our metal minds is an important feature that we need to have going forward. It can't just be party and dance and talk about woman and vagina all the time. We must talk along the lines of something that is gonna make us competitive and enrich us in the future going forward. And these are the places and venues we could do it. A long time ago, I say, for a longest period of time, we've been denied access to one another. My American brothers was in America. My Caribbean brothers was in other Caribbean countries, and my continental brothers was in the continent. Now we have the ability to access one another in this medium called social media for the first time in human history. So what do we do? What we do with this particular experience spell out the answers into the future going forward, because our people who are younger then listen to these kinds of dialogues and diatribes, and they can take from it what they wish in terms of being competitive in the future going forward. And this is the reason why I am using this medium and not I don't want it to go to waste. So I try to be useful in using this medium, and I hope someone else will get something from the things that we discuss on the show. Maybe not some brothers, because you won't reach everybody. You can't save everybody. But for the few people who do, they'll grasp it and take the nuggets that we discuss on this show and improve the environment that they're in, even, whether it's in a personal, familial, family environment, or on a local environment, on a community environment, on a national level, etc., down the line. So this is the reason why we come here every Saturday night. But like I say, I'm rambling. I'll leave it there.
No, you're not rambling, man. You're not rambling. In the chat, before I get into your last thoughts, Oni seems to be having some internet problems. So he said he'll take the internet L. It's Clara listening to YouTube. He says what he'll say, it's always the people under settler colonialism warning against China. Very interesting. Very interesting, Naomi. Trigger Happy 262 Plus says, I agree. This is where plans are discussed like a think tank. Basically, the point is that we aren't at the stage China is at the moment. Just to kind of ground things, only pockets of things forming, as you said. But Bakari said, listening to most of these people on social media, I very rarely hear racial pride from black people. Racial pride with some of the negative words all of the time. Oni says China doesn't have any colonies as yet. If it wanted to, sure, but we don't see it. So this fear-mongering is just nonsense. As Buana said, who said they'd even win? He says the people who did win their settler endeavor are the Americans. Last he says, I'll buy a home internet. I'm using mobile. Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. I can see the issues. Gentlemen, does anyone else have any last thoughts on this prompt? All right. Just so y'all know, we are hitting up Shoot the Breeze topic number 4 now. So let me just play this ad for the network. So you guys stay tuned.
Hello there, dear listener. We hope you're enjoying this lovely discussion. If you're not already aware, this show is part of a podcast network called KWAZ Radio, a Pan-African nationalist and Garveyite network committed to showcasing the rich and varied thoughts of African people. We have an exciting lineup of shows that we think you'll enjoy, including
the Bitter Medicine Podcast.
I think black people require too much buy-in. Like, we constantly have to sell black people on things that are beneficial to black people.
The Pro-Black Perspective Podcast.
I'm fearful that our people are not really studying how to get ahead, and we're kind of, continually staying behind.
The Harsh Reality Podcast.
To me, it don't matter. I think people are so dumbed down, it wouldn't matter what you reveal to them. They still are in the matrix. They're in the simulation. They're going to keep doing what they did. They lemmings. So to me, it don't matter, man.
The Learning Curve Podcast.
Sexual access has never given you economic empowerment. The only person who has ever been economically empowered by a sexual relationship is the wasp and his woman.
The Cathedra Cheek Show.
When we start rising up to fight for our own, I guarantee you they'll stop doing what they're doing. I guarantee you they would have let their brother go. They was waiting to see what black folks was going to do.
Brother Bakari Podcast.
Black people love to claim folks that hate them, right? They're a slave master, and they are ashamed of who they really are.
The Forecast Radio.
Like, if you pray to the same deity as like your enemy, and that God blesses your enemy more than you may want to reconsider who you praying to,
And Tanzan, African Mind.
Africans generally are welcoming of everyone. Sometimes, to my consternation, I think that they should be less, welcoming.
If you love our podcast network, we would be grateful if you could rate and review us on Apple Podcasts. Follow us on social media, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, and check out our website at www.kwazradio.com for more information. Thank you for tuning in. And now, back to the program.
Yes, indeed. I saw Oni and Trigger Happy in the chat during the commercial. I saw them talking about the video from last week with Obadale Camden. And Trigger left a comment for me this week. Trigger, I was actually going to respond by doing the video on Thursday, but wires got crossed and I wasn't able to record. Hopefully I'll be able to respond, but I'll say this. I'll say that thing about the African spirituality thing kind of got tied in for me this past week with the whole Israeli occupation thing. And I saw a guy say Israel isn't winning because of its God. It's winning because of his whiteness. And it made me remember an observation I had about the average Israeli. They'll throw that yarmulke on their head, but they're not really checking for that religion stuff. But because it's their ancestors who talked about it, they follow it. And I will come to completely agree with you on this level of, if our ancestors talked about it, then we should talk about it. We shouldn't be talking some other people's ancestors' stories or ideas. We should be talking our own ancestors. And so when it comes to the African spirituality thing, I think especially the idea of returning to some idea of like a full African, to our traditional self. I think it is important then that we talk about these spiritual concepts, even though we might believe it's just a story, it's, whatever. We should talk about it to make ourselves whole. So I'll say that. I wanted to say that in the video on Thursday, but I didn't get to it. So that's how I'll respond to your comment. Should be topic number 4 this week. Says HBCUs being targeted, or are these all normal incidents? Can we talk about it? So on the screen is a tweet from our boy Afro Native World. He says 2 Maryland HBCUs had shootings in the last week, but that's barely even covered. Morgan State and Bowie State. So Bowie State had to post this tweet on October 10th, saying starting at 12 p.m. today, all classes for the rest of the week are canceled to provide additional time for everyone to address their mental well-being. We encourage you to take this time to connect with resources, reach out to the friends and loved ones, or seek support if needed, right? So apparently there was some violence on both of these campuses, Morgan State and Bowie State. I saw an article somewhere. I saw an article that was talking about the Morgan State incident, but I didn't see the Bowie State one. But it's interesting. Is this one of those kind of things where you stage or influence these kind of events to make people afraid of attending these institutions? Is that how they're going to go about trying to destroy these institutions going forward? Good question. Buana, what say you?
Well, I wish my brother Bakari, he's listening. He's an expert in HBCUs. I do think that I don't know. I really don't know, Coco. If I was to be honest with you, I don't know if someone is actually staging these things to cause HBCU universities to suffer and cause attendance to be lower. I really don't know. I don't know. I do know how HBCUs usually market. They market globally in terms of going to the black world and appealing to the black world that students from different parts of Africa and the Caribbean could come and participate and come to their schools. So I don't know if it'll affect them globally outside from outcome people coming from outside of the United States coming in and attending their schools and classes. But internally, locally, I don't know what it will be. Or I don't know if it's an actual attack against HBCUs, because there are people within internally in the United States who sees institutions like HBCUs as a threat because they know, if you fix a person academically, black person academically, then you make them competitors within the United States and externally and globally, really, to be honest with you. So I think that has always been a threat to certain groups within the United States to have an intelligent black class of people, and usually the best and brightest have came out of HBCU. So where you have strong academic institutions internally in the United States, they really see that as a threat. Especially you have these hillbillies who really would like to get rid of these kinds of institutions within the United States. So I really don't know. I would just have to pass on that expertise to maybe Jabari or Black Steel. They probably could speak on it much better than I can, but I'll leave it there.
While you were speaking, Juan, I looked up to see if there was any video on these things, and it seems like there's one here. It's just it's a 3-minute video. I'll play it real quick before we go to Black Steel and hear what he has to say.
Closer to home, Bowie State University canceled classes for the rest of the week. Both Bowie State and Morgan State universities are dealing with the aftermath of gun violence on campus, and it is raising questions about security. Fox 5's Melanie Almwick joining us live now from Bowie. Good morning, Mel. Good morning. And we have seen a very visible security presence here on the campus of Bowie State University. It is still very quiet this morning. University leaders blame the shooting here on an outside element. And this conversation is going to be going on public universities where people can normally just drive in and out, walk in and out. How far can you go to cut down on access? University leaders have heard from students and families both here and at Morgan State University. And here they decided that the student body needed just a little bit more time to regroup and to heal. Bowie State's campus went into lockdown Saturday night after two 19-year-old men were shot outside the Center for Business and Graduate Studies building 11:30 p.m. in the midst of homecoming festivities, just days after there was another shooting, a prior shooting at Morgan State. Now, investigators say the victims are not Bowie State students, and they do believe the shooting was an isolated incident, but they just really wanted to let everyone take some time off to reflect and to get their mental health in order.
With the incident that happened on Saturday, students are feeling a little bit, still a little shooken up at the same time, but they're feeling a little calm because of the services that we're providing for them.
I think the students just needed a little bit more time to process what happened, and also to gather their thoughts and their feelings about what occurred.
Now, in Baltimore, classes at Morgan State University have resumed after 5 people, 4 of them students, were shot on campus last Tuesday during a homecoming celebration there. Baltimore City Police released these new images of the suspects still at large. It was the 3rd year in a row that gunfire marred homecoming celebrations there. During a campus listening session last night, university leaders announced they plan to build a wall around the northeast part of the campus and have security officers at entrances and exits, along with other upgrades. And again, the president there saying they really want to try to cut down on that flow of public access. There's going to be a question there about how far they can go. Bowie State will also be having conversations about hardening campus security. In the meantime, they will also be providing more mental health resources to students here on campus and for those who have left campus in the meantime during this extra week off. If you want to see those photos again of the suspects in the Morgan State shooting, we have them on our website, fox5dc.com. All right, Melanie, thank you for all the updates there. Appreciate it.
So, Brother Bakari is in the chat. He says the white boy that shot up Dollar General in Florida tried to get on Edward Waters' campus first. Bakari, like the pro-black perspective, thinks that the shooter just wanted to kill black folks. Bakari says it's an attack on black people, but I think the biggest threat to HBCUs is black people. Yeah, but Bakari's stance on that, and I don't disagree either. Bakari says they had threats from white people 2 years ago, calling schools saying they were coming to shoot it up, but the schools canceled class for 2 days, right? Lastly, Pro-Black Perspective says, that's what I mean about some folk here. Men and women are toxic. Why we killing each other? So I'll continue to Black Steel's thoughts, and then I'll double back to Buana. Black Steel, what say you?
Okay, so I heard about the shooting at Morgan. I follow 2 professors who teach at Morgan, Dr. Jared Ball and Dr. Stacy Patton, and they both teach there. So I knew about the shooting at Morgan. I didn't know about the one at Bowie. So I'm wondering if maybe it's just some gang violence that's spilling over onto the campus. I don't know if they're being targeted, because a lot of times you have, for some reason, and this is one thing I noticed, maybe it's just me, a lot of colleges, not just black colleges, but a lot of colleges are in very rough neighborhoods. So I'm wondering if maybe it wasn't like the shooter in, say, in the HBCU in Jacksonville, where he went on the campus with the intention to kill black people, and then he got turned away by security. I'm wondering if it's just, you know, some overall violence to the community that's spilling over onto the campus. Either way, I think it's terrible. I think that you know, they need to bump up security. That's what they got to do. But I think that HBCUs are targeted, but they're not being targeted by random shooters, but they are being targeted, I think, by the government. I know there's been, ever since they appealed affirmative action, there have definitely been some right-wing efforts to attack anything dealing with addressing any type of racial imbalance. So yeah, so I would say just in general that they are being targeted. You know, there've been HBCUs that lost their accreditation. They've lost, a lot of them have lost their funding, and now that there has been renewed attacks by conservatives to attempt to ignore racism in America, they're attacking any type of scholarships, for example, that are geared towards just for black students. So there's one scholarship that's set up for black women. Now they're suing and trying to eliminate it. So yeah, I definitely feel like this is something that they are being attacked. Oh, why did I say gang related? I don't know. It may not be gang related. It could just, you know, that maybe that's that Euro indoctrination that I still got to fight every day. But I would say, no, I don't know if it's something that these students just came onto the campus to cause problems, or was it just an argument that kind of spilled over onto the school? I don't know for sure. Maybe um, that's why they didn't come on. It wasn't on the news like it should have been. But no, but I definitely do think they're being targeted, but not by, you know, shooters, but by the elements of the state and reactionary elements within the government who want to eliminate anything particularly for black people. So if it's a school for black people, if a scholarship, or anything specifically for black people, they want to eliminate that on the thing they're saying that is, you know, quote unquote racist. So I'm glad. In the Morgan State, I heard 4 people got shot, but nobody was killed. So I'm grateful for that. Nobody lost their life. But if they need to bump up security, then that's what they got to do. And I'll go ahead and I'll leave it there. All right, thank you.
Juana, after seeing the video, did you want to add any other thoughts?
No, I think that, like I say, what Carl said and what Brother Bakari said is well founded. You know, because it could have been young people getting together, you know, and engaging in ridiculous things. Maybe that's why the news didn't pick it up. But on the other end, as Black Steel was saying, the government does not necessarily want the institutions in terms of black institutions in the United States to be fundamentally strong. So you really can't put a hand on where this is coming from because it happened back to back from Bowie University to Morgan State. Whereas also when you have these kinds of threats of violence spill over into universities, people look at this. So I would say that the parents of these students to inform their kids to be very cautious and vigilant. If they are able to protect themselves if they can. Don't mix with individuals who are not school oriented, who don't want to go to school to be educated, who just want to go to school to have a good time, to party and dance. Because most of the time, these children have a year. They have a year at these universities, and they end up dropping out and then going off into their individual lives. Be a student. When you're at a university, be a student. Don't be a thug at a university. Thugs and universities don't mix. Go to school and be educated. Go educate yourself to improve your life and make your life better in some way. But I will leave it there, man, because I'll leave it there.
I appreciate that, Buana. Pro-Black Perspective says, homecoming shooting reminds me of, quote, get shot at parade in Brooklyn on Labor Day. Yeah, that was a problem for a while here, too. He says the reward is only $9,000. That's small for shooters, right? I don't know. I don't think that's small. Maybe a little bit. Maybe 10,000 is what I usually see. If there's no other thoughts there, we're making.
I'm gonna say one thing quick too.
Yes.
Recently in America, they overturned affirmative action, right? And I think that was done. I guess they wanted to eliminate race-based preferences for college admissions. All right. That to me, that was just the first shot. So the desire to eliminate race-based preferences within colleges, and then now you're going to see them coming after HBCUs because they're going to say, why is it you have these particular schools set up just for Black people? And they're going to completely ignore the reasons that these schools even exist. So I think you're going to see, and again, I don't know if the shooting is orchestrated, but you're going to see funding, you're going to see accreditation removed more and more and more from these situations, from these schools. So I'll leave it there.
Appreciate it, Black Steel. Let's go to Shooter Breeze topic number 5. Shooter Breeze topic number 5 says United Nations Security Council votes to invade Haiti. This, of course, takes us to YouTube. Let me key it up. Share it with you guys. This takes us to YouTube. Short video. Actually, no. That's the wrong video. Damn it. Let me grab this again. Yeah, so this is the right link. We'll watch the video and we'll then discuss it.
After more than 2 years of gang violence, deadly clashes, and brutal kidnappings in Haiti, international troops now being called to intervene.
13 votes in favor. Resolution has been adopted.
Tonight, the United Nations voting to send military force to stabilize the country. Gangs currently controlling over 80% of the country's capital, Port-au-Prince, according to the UN, who has called the status quo a catastrophic spiral of violence. The vote allowing for a non-UN force to provide support to Haiti's national police for at least a year in hopes of regaining control of critical infrastructure like the airport, ports, and roads. The African country of Kenya willing to lead the charge.
We'll also be training the Haiti police so that they can have their numbers, so that we go, we finish our mission, we come back, we leave them with a stable country.
The Kenyans now have the authorization that they needed to collect this posse, if you will, and put them all together and start to form the force that will go forward and conduct business in Haiti. So it's the green light that they've needed.
The vote comes a year after the country called on the UN for help. Since then, the Security Council has imposed sanctions on some of the most powerful gang members, including Jimmy Barbecue Cherizé, who last month set the streets of the capital on fire, calling for the ouster of the current Prime Minister Ariel Henry. Gang members holding weapons at the ready, some keeping their faces covered, though their gang leader says they have nothing to hide. But it's the Haitian people who are paying the price. More than 2,500 have been murdered by gangs this year, according to the UN, while nearly 1,000 have been kidnapped.
We're at a point now where it's just going to have to start over again, to rebuild a police force, to rebuild civil society.
The recent surge in violence pushing tens of thousands to the Dominican Republic, forcing the neighboring country to shut down its border with Haiti on Friday. The bloodshed, now an undeniable cry for help from the international community.
All right, Valerie Castro joins us now live in studio. So, Valerie, we know the Kenyan military has raised their hand. What about the U.S.? Will U.S. troops be in Haiti, I'm sorry?
Not troops necessarily, but last month, the Biden administration pledged $100 million in support in the form of intelligence. Even medical support will be there. Today, Secretary of State Antony Blinken pledged another $100 million with the help of the Department of Defense. It's still unclear exactly what those resources will be. Other countries like Jamaica and the Bahamas, they will be providing personnel on the ground. This could all be in place early next year.
Okay, Valerie Castro. Valerie, thank you for that.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app, or follow us on
divisive across the globe and proving to be a major challenge for President Biden. I want to bring in.
Sorry about that. Yeah, interesting, very interesting. The United Nations Security Council votes to invade Haiti. Buana, what say you to this?
First of all, how could a group of countries outside of the country that they want to invade come together and say, okay, now let's invade another man's country? How you can invade another man's sovereign? That's a declaration of war. It's a declaration of war when you say outright that you will get together, or you and a group of your friends to get together and invade a country. Invasion of a sovereign nation is a declaration of war. Obviously, the people are going to defend themselves from being invaded, and rightfully so. Because if these countries were invaded, then the citizens of that countries would have stand up in defense, even though you might label them as gangs. a bunch of people getting together, have they called themselves gangs? Maybe they have. Who knows? Who knows? But the internal squabbles of Haiti, right, should be, I feel, should be corrected by Haiti and the neighbors and the countries in which Haiti affects the most. Maybe Jamaica, maybe the Bahamas. These are the countries who are affected by the internal politics and what happens in Haiti the most. And even the United States, I would say. I would even say that. I would dare say that. Because there are many Haitians who traverse the waters of their own personal country and go into Haiti. So all these people should sit down to the table and discuss what should be done with that country. In terms of African nations, all the way across the water in Kenya, the Kenyan government decided to say, well, we're gonna invade that country. Oh, who asked you to come there? I don't know, but they voted. I noticed the actual discussion was that 80% now, which is another lie, because it's for Western news and they always lie. But they say that the what's happening is going on in Port-au-Prince. Port-au-Prince is just one part of Haiti. There are many parts of Haiti, just as there are many parts of Jamaica, which is there as many parts of the Bahamas. Something is happening in Nassau. It don't mean the whole country need to be subjected by an invasive military army. Because what goes on in Nassau doesn't necessarily mean it's happening in Eleuthera, or it's happening in Andros, or it's happening in Freeport. Just ridiculous. It's in one part of Haiti you see troubles going on there. You know, granted, it's a mean section of Haiti, Port-au-Prince, but that don't necessarily mean you have to invade the whole goddamn country. Because an invasion is an invasion of the whole country, not just a particular portion of it. So when one group of people say we're gonna invade your country without a request by the actual government itself, say y'all could come in and come fix our country, that's a problem. And now people who don't have a brain in their head, they're gonna look at that from a distance and say, oh, yeah, there must be gangs in Haiti and these people are doing bad and this and that. It's just really one portion of the discussion. And as I say, when Western media says something, you better do your due diligence to make sure and certain that you're on the right side of history, because they lie continuously, you know. But like I said, I believe that the neighbors of Haiti, if they are asked, they should go in and try to render assistance. The Bahamas being one of the countries who is very much affected by what happens internally in Haiti and Jamaica and the United States. I don't mind them to sit down and discuss how they can help and assist in terms of trying to help stabilize that country if they can, you know. But like I say, man, I would just leave it there. I don't know enough about this particular situation that's going on here right now. There's so many nuances that happens in Haiti and in the Caribbean, and really you have to be close to the situation to really get some good understanding, you know. But from where I stand, I would just say that the neighbors of Haiti and Haiti itself need to work with one another in trying to correct the situation that's going on there, if requested to have some foreign element like the government of Ruto and the government of Kenya coming all the way over here. You couldn't give them access in African Union, status in African Union, but you can come to Africa, they can come from Africa to say, okay, well, we need to help govern you. Y'all are invading force. And that's how I look at these guys. That's how I look at them, you know. But and I think that the Bahamas really much on the wrong side of history. But that's neither here nor there, you know. But like I said, I would just leave it there and let the other brothers on the panel go.
Well, just me, you, and Black Steel. Black Steel will say you.
So my heart goes out to Haiti, man. It's heartbreaking to see what this country is going through and what they're enduring as a people. And we know Haiti's history. We know Haiti is the site of the only successful slave revolt in the history of the world, the first Black republic in the Western Hemisphere. We know that the Western powers have decided to punish Haiti for all time for daring to fight back and gain their freedom by force of arms instead of waiting for white people to grant them their freedom. So when I see the struggles of the Haitian people, I know that the reason behind that is because they dared to stand up and strike a blow for their freedom. They were able to defeat the great Napoleon on the battle. Not Napoleon sent his brother-in-law, his cousin, or some relative. They were able to defeat Napoleonic armies, the British, the Spanish. They took control of the island, and this has been a black eye for the West, for the slave-owning nations of the world for centuries, and they've really got a hard on for Haiti to make sure the Haitian people suffer as much as possible because of this. I've heard white evangelical pastors, Pat Robertson in the U.S., say that the Haitians made a deal with the devil to get their freedom because there's no way that African people could defeat Europeans on the battlefield without having supernatural assistance. So just the type of rhetoric and the bullshit I see coming out of Haiti. And with these guns, my concern is that, where are the weapons coming from? Because I know Haiti doesn't manufacture weapons. These weapons are coming from probably United States, no doubt. And these gangs were created as a way to foster chaos in the country. I don't put anything past the West when it comes to Haiti. We see what happened when the UN peacekeepers came in after the earthquake in 2010. They built 6 houses, pocketed the rest of the money, and they brought cholera to the people. They abused sexually the women and children in Haiti who are already suffering from extreme poverty. And then they went on to sexually abuse these poor people. So the West doesn't really have a problem kicking a man when he's down, kicking a country when they're down. And I understand Kenya is going to be used as a U.S. proxy because the Monroe Doctrine is still in effect. Even though it came about in the early 19th century, the United States sees the Western Hemisphere as their sphere of influence. So they're going to react to any country within their sphere of influence as a threat, unless they're invited. So we were talking earlier about black cops and how the black cops can be worse than the white cops. Because what Kenya is really doing, they're doing the bidding of the United States, no doubt, probably a lot of France and other Western powers, to bring Haiti to heel. Bring them under their control. But the West are the ones who gave the Haitians the guns. They're the ones who removed Haiti's democratically elected presidents. They're the ones who destroyed the lava loss movement and everything else like that that would have brought stability to the country. Because truth be told, they don't want a stable Haiti. Who do you think took care of Papa Doc, Baby Doc? Who do you think gave them the money and the weapons to terrorize the Haitian people? Who gave their people the training? Who gave them, it was America. Because they don't really want to see Haiti as as anything prosperous, as anything doing well for themselves, because that would be an example to African people all over the world. Haiti's neighbor, the Dominican Republic, they're trying to block their access to a river that's been shared between them for years. The Dominicans need Haitian labor to work in their farms, but yet they're downright neo-Nazi towards the Haitian people. It seems like Haiti has no friends. They have no allies within the world, and the world just looks back and sees them being destroyed, see their land being taken, their people starved, and this orgy of death and violence being set loose in this country. But the minute a stable government were to arise, oh, it's communist, it's socialist. We can't have that. Then they're going to start, claiming this government is affiliated with Cuba or Russia or whatever the fuck, doing their best to overthrow the government. It's just heartbreaking to see. I really want the greater, and not Kenya, because Kenya is, like, again, I believe they're doing the bidding of the West. They're doing what is desired by America. Because Kenya is, I don't believe they're doing this out of the goodness of their hearts. But the U.S. knows what a U.S.-led invasion, how that would look on the world stage, and they know that would be an embarrassment to them. So they want the Kenyans to go in there and get their hands dirty. And of course, the Kenyans, being a good U.S. proxy, they're agreeing to it. Why is it that we don't ever, when we respond to Haiti, we only respond more weapons? They only respond to more troops, but they don't really give the Haitian people what they really and truly need. So I'll leave it there. Again, this is just a horrible situation to see. My solidarity goes out to all oppressed people in the world. Haiti most first and foremost, because of what they represent to us. So I'll leave it there. Thank you, Coco.
Appreciate that, Carl. Brother Bakari said something interesting. He said, "Why are they showing these commercials during your live?" I didn't even know that was a thing. I didn't know that was a thing. Maybe it's because I have ad block on my devices. I don't see it coming up during other people's lives, but I honestly didn't know that was a thing. So I'm not sure. Trigger Happy 262 Plus says Kenya went from Mau Mau to this. It's why I always respect the countries who are able to keep the continuity. Bakari says we just have to be training to fight back. And if we have to get rid of Kenyans to get the big dog, shit, that's what we must do. I agree with that too. Any other thoughts from you guys here on this topic?
Yeah, I think that the Caribbean is going through a learning stage in terms of world history. I think that we have been through the process of slavery and other kinds of things that ail our economies. We currently going through what I consider to be the plantation economy. Haiti going through our own historical thing. And I think that I believe that eventually, I believe in eventualities. I believe that eventually, things are gonna rectify itself. I currently don't know how it's gonna do it, but I believe I'm an optimist. I'm an optimist, and I believe that this is a stabilized economy, and it was destabilized a long time ago for a reason. But I think the Haitian people will regain their center. I think that Haitians outside of the country need to take more of an interest. There are wealthy Haitians all over this planet. There are wealthy Haitians in Canada. There are wealthy Haitians in South Florida. There are wealthy Haitians in New York City. Now, I don't know what they are doing in terms of helping with the infrastructure of Haiti, in terms of trying to turn around that nation. But I think that the Haitian people need to be front and center in terms of trying to turn around the economy of Haiti. Don't just leave and go to a better circumstance and then forget about what's going on in the home country. If you consider that to be the home country, if you consider that to be so, I think that, like I say, I think that there are intelligent Haitians that exist all around the world globally, and they could use the assistance. I think that internally within Haiti, I think that the Haitian people need to coalesce with the people externally and try to do things to aid and help. When Black Steel, when Black Steel, and I know Black Steel don't mean this, when Black Steel say Haitians have no friends, right? Black Steel don't mean it like that, but I hear it differently because I know that there are hundreds and thousands of Haitians in my country right now where the government in fact assists the Haitians in terms of food, housing, hospitalization, year after year after year after year. In fact, we share our resources and been sharing our resources with the Haitian people for decades, just as a lot of people in Americas have done. Not only us, the Jamaicans have done it, and maybe the Dominican Republic. But even though they have racist policies in their country, openly xenophobic policies in their country, the people here, some of them do have xenophobic ideas, but some of the issues that we may have with the Haitian people coming to our country is a legitimate one. Is a legitimate one because after a while, when you continuously sharing your food and people continuously coming, the food is gonna eventually share out. So who are you gonna feed first? Either you gonna feed the people in your house or you gonna feed your guests, even though they're your brothers and sisters and cousins. The inclination will be to feed your own daughter, your own sons, or your own house first before you start feeding the houses of the children outside of your house. That's the inclination to do that. But I can't say that we have been not friends of Haiti. For decades, we've been friends. We've been active friends of Haiti. We've been at the service of the Haitian government and the Haitian people for decades. This is the reality. And I think that maybe not other people have done so, but I could only speak for this country and what I have seen this country um, actively doing in support of aiding the people who leave on ships in the middle of the night to try to find themselves on the shores of the Bahamas. What the Bahamian government have done for the Haitian people, not only through the decades, but when there is tragedies and traumas that exist. But I don't know, man. It's just a difficult situation, very, very difficult to pass through. But I wish the best for that economy. I know that the Haitian people are actively trying to do that some things right now in terms of tourism. I don't know if that's the best course because it's a lived through experience here. But I know they have actively been trying to work some different kinds of industries within that economy. Will it be successful? I don't know. I really don't know. I think infrastructure is the key. And I think that internal stability is the key. And maybe that's what these Western governments are trying to do with that country. I don't know. But I think that they need to internally rectify what's actively affecting the Haitian people on a daily basis. They need to they have an internal issue that's happening that's causing that country not to be able to be pulled together in a cohesive manner. And I would dare say it's the rich billionaire class, the little mulattoes that exist running around. I think that they have been benefiting through the chaos for a very long time. There are people who actually benefit from catastrophe and chaos. I don't think that most people don't understand that there are many people who benefit from keeping a situation chaotic. Many people, and these are unseen people. But I wish that economy went well, and I wish the people of Haiti well, man. But I would just leave it there. I would just leave it there.
Appreciate that,
Let
Buana.
me let me let me clarify when I say Haiti doesn't have any friends. I mean that in the international community that Haiti doesn't have any friends. So when we see what's happening to Haiti, the rest of the world gives lip service. But I distinctly remember how Haitians were treated trying to cross over into Mexico. I mean, into the U.S. from Mexico a couple years ago. The border patrol was on horseback attacking these people. I remember the U.S. policy towards the Haitians who were trying to come overseas, as opposed to the Cubans. The Cubans would be let in, the Haitians would be sent back. So I know Haiti does have friends, especially amongst the diaspora. But I was just saying, in the larger international community, we see that there's not really a much support for Haitian sovereignty. Cuba might be the Cubans are really, they've often been at the forefront of speaking out positively for oppressed people. But I just say that when I say that, it's just really more. I mean more on the international stage. You don't really see people coming to Haiti's rescue, or even advocating for things that the Haitians truly need to become self-sufficient and self-governing. I think that everybody takes advantage of their situation, how it is being done right now. Just currently, how just like we can see now, even the most progressive elements in the U.S., all of a sudden they're supportive of genocide now. But I think the same as with Haiti. Everyone wants to be progressive and, oh, we're going to support that. But, look at what's happening and how they treat the Haitian people when they get here. I have two of my students are from Haiti, and, they're good kids, but they've seen some things that no child should have to see. And it's very disturbing to me. So I'll leave it there.
Appreciate that, Carl. In the chat, Brother Bukhari said in reference to Kenya invading Haiti, that's why we haven't seen or heard from Tanzania. She's been training to invade Haiti. We might chuckle at that, and it's funny as hell. Sometimes you got to wonder sometimes. I'll just say this. We do ourselves a disservice to the community when we disappear. You'll see folks who come hot and heavy on the scene and then just poof, vanish. And you got to wonder, well, what was their purpose for being here? Why were they here? But anyway, I'll let you guys ponder that one. Let's welcome in a blast from the past. I haven't seen this name in a long time. Let's welcome in Joni this week. Joni, how are you?
I'm fine, and me. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Oh.
Joni, you're from Haiti, correct?
Yes, I am.
All right. So speak to what we were talking about.
I just like to take you down memory lane for a little bit. What we're going through right now is we have an internal battle going on, which is like a big thing. The demilitarization of Haiti started really in 1995. We had one of the oldest militaries, army in the Caribbean. We had it first. So this was a plan that happened like 40 years ago. Aristide came in. I think I spoke to you about this before. Aristide came in, and when he came into power, the first time he was, they gave him a coup d'etat. The second time, the Clintons came in, and he signed policies to demilitarize Haiti. Also, he destroyed the agriculture. So what we're going through, this is an internal battle. People in Haiti, we need to have a focus and a similar agenda. It's like this faction want this faction want that. We got to get together on one accord. We're like all over the place. That's what I feel. Hello?
Joni, what do you think is the one accord?
What
would you say?
For me, to tell you the truth, I'm more of a hard body. Before food, before water, before anything, we would need our military backup. We would need our military backup ASAP. And then obviously agriculture, education, health, but we need our military. Haiti has resources. This is a geopolitical fact. They found resources America needs our minerals. They found this resource that we have in the mountains. Everybody knows about this. This is why America pledged $100 million for Kenyans to come in, because they need a black face to come in. Because right now, all over the world, America, people are not happy with America and Europe, so they need like a black face like Kenya. And I'm very surprised at Kenya. Like I'm so sad that they were able to come, that they want to come and subject us in our own country. But if our own countrymen don't treat us right, who is to say another person's going to treat us right? You get me?
Yes, ma'am.
So I think our own people sold us out. Aristide stole us out. From Aristide, it was Michel Martelly. The Dominican Republic has been paying our politicians to water down. It's just, it comes from the top. Then we have outsiders. Like, for example, I was born in Brooklyn. I went back to school in Haiti. I went to school with people from their children. Their grandparents were from Lebanon, in Syria. They will come into Haiti poor. All of a sudden, they paid a politician to get like a contract with the government, and now they're super rich. These same people came in with flip-flops and a backpack. Now they're super rich, and now they said that they're not Haitian. Like, why would you want to stay in the country? Go back to your own country. We even have people from Palestine that comes into our country and they abuse us. So it's like the abuse getting abused. Hurt people. So I think moving forward, we have to be on one accord, and we have to be very hard body. The people that doesn't want Haiti to move forward and you're Haitian, you got to be out. The people that do want to move forward, we're on one accord. The Jews did it. Everybody else did it. We're not the only country that's going through this. We're not the only country that went through this. Ethiopia went through a famine that lost 2 million people. Rwanda had a genocide for 1.1 million. We can survive this. I know we can, but we have to be hard body, meaning we have to start going after the people that sold us out.
Joni, earlier, the brother Buana Hagaziki on the panel, he mentioned how the folks who have left Haiti and are prospering in other countries, some Caribbean countries, America, often France, etc. He said that those folks need to really return and affect some change. Do you agree with that?
Of course. So for example, but the US is putting a stop to this. We have 3 major men in Haiti. I don't know if you guys know the history of the 4 horsemen in Haiti. Dessalines, Toussaint Louverture, Boyer, and Christophe. They were like the 4 generals, 4 strategic generals that brought about our freedom, right? So when one died, the other one took over. The one died, the other took over. So we have this thing, we call them the 4 horsemen. So right now we have 3 men in Haiti that are doing really good work. One is Komase Miskade. He's going after the gangs. Of course, they're not going to tell you this in America. He's going after the gangs hard body. Matter of fact, he was able to isolate his area in NIP. It's called NIP, NIP. And the diaspora send him 2 armored vehicles. They send him drones. They send him bullets. They send him this. We did a GoFundMe for almost $200,000 and the United States stopped it.
Interesting.
Yeah, so it's now with the canal, we was able to raise $150,000, and now we're having problems. So for when people say, the diaspora is not helping, they are helping. They are trying the best, but I think that they're also scared, like, oh, is my money gonna go through? Is this because we got some people that are hard body, like, yo, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that, but then they get sold out by other people. It's just it's only Haitians that are going to have to free Haiti. Nobody else can come in because we don't respect other people's authority. And every time somebody comes in the UN, the Brazilian shoulders, they come in, they destroy Haiti, they leave. They could never stay for more than 7 to 10 years because the Haitian people don't want them there. We do this, we do that, but we don't want our own government. When you talk about a Haitian person, you tell them, oh, Aristide did this. Then you have a camp of Aristide. Oh, Lavalas people were good. Oh, he tried his best. But this guy sold the country out. It's on papers. And some Haitian people still believe in him. This guy was so poor and now he is so rich. He talked about the mulat. I don't, I'm a mixed person myself. So I'm not going to say that all mulattoes are bad and all this and that, because that's the color game that they play. Because during the revolutions, mulattoes played mulattoes, matter of fact, financed the war, because it was the mulattoes that was the richest people. They were more rich than the French masters. So when people talk about, oh, mulattoes did this, it's not all mulattoes. And the people that are in power are 2 or 3 generations of Arabs that came from outside that are plumbing the country. And they don't only do this to Haiti. They do this to other Caribbean countries. They come into the Caribbean countries, they come in poor, they get contract with the government, and then they suppress the population. But we have to look at ourselves as Haitians and say, what did we do so we can never do it again? How is our politicians getting away with this? How are we not fighting back the politicians? How we're not asking the UN to say, listen, Aristide needs to be arrested. Ariel Henry needs to be arrested. Dominican Republic had the soldiers that killed Jovenel. They came through Dominican Republic. How are we not bringing these sanctions up? Every time that we want to do something, it's our own Haitian people that sell us out. So we got to figure out, and I tell Haitian people all the time, we can't live Western values. That's not our values. You don't want Duvalier, you don't want this. You got to want something. And we right now, we have to go hard body. We have people that's willing to help us. Cuba's willing to help us. Venezuela's willing to help us. So what are we going to do? We're just going to put our hands in our pockets, like,
I feel you on that, Joni. I really appreciated your insight here
Can
tonight.
I ask Joni something?
Yeah, go ahead.
Joni, so you, by the way, I appreciate you coming on, and listening to what you just had to say. I really appreciate that, because usually we hear another version of what's going on in Haiti, but it's good to hear a different perspective. But what I would ask is, so you are basically saying that the Haitians need a strong mind. They need a military and they need a strong mind. I heard about this guy named Philippe Guy. I think that he was one of the leaders of the military before. I don't know what ever happened to him.
Oh,
And
he's
I
a
think
sellout.
and I think
Yeah.
that Sweet Mickey was big on having a military too. He was big on having a military too. So my question to you is, what do you know about this guy called Barbecue? That's the first question.
Mhm.
And do you believe that the Haiti needs a strong man? Do they need
Yes.
when I say strong, okay. So like a man like Duvalier need to come back.
Yes. And it's going to
Okay.
happen. They're creating a vassal. They're creating a vassal for that to happen. We're just waiting for that to happen. To tell you the truth, it's gonna another Juvali is gonna come again. It's almost about to happen, because you have 3 guys that are running really well in Haiti. You have Komase Miskade. If he becomes president, it's gonna be so bad. Like, he is so hard body. Like, Duvalier didn't play around. He's gonna be worse than Duvalier, to tell you the truth. But we need that as a people. We don't believe in democracy. We're Africans. We don't believe in this libertarian. It doesn't happen in Haiti. My grandmother used to say it all the time. We need a strong man to control us. It's always the leader, then the people. It's not the people, then the leader. Yes, the people are taking initiatives saying that they want to fight back the gangs. But we have sellouts in our country. We have people that don't have their family in Haiti, take money from America, sell it out. But their time is about to wean out. People are looking for them. We talk about Port-au-Prince, but there's 9 other districts in Haiti that are doing well. You got Okap, that have Germans and French people that live there for generations, and they're doing well. I went back to Haiti and I had a German guy say that he would never leave Haiti because it's better than his own country. I'm like, oh, you can stay in my country, but I can't even stay in my own country. Isn't that sickening? And we have resources, but we don't have people in charge that are really ready to take the toll, because, if you really go against the West, we're already being punished, but it's going to be really bad because they're using Dominican Republic as a as a buffer, because it's Dominican Republic's being supported by the United States. all their hotels, they don't own anything. The money's being funneled right back to the United States. They're really, they train them, they give them the military, and they're using them as a bulldog to control us. We are over there in their country, and like I told all the Haitian people, you got to come back. That's the only way we're going to be able to link up as a country. You cannot go where you're not wanted. And I know the people like, they can't make money in Haiti. The problem is everybody wants to stay in Port-au-Prince. Port-au-Prince can't handle millions of people. You have to go on the outskirts. We have to do the infrastructure. But are you going to listen to us? You get me?
Johnny, what is happening to all the remittances, the millions and millions of dollars, when people come to countries like this and the United States and Canada, when they send money back to Haiti, what happens to all that money?
What do you mean? The people that are the diaspora, or you saying
when the diaspora sends money back to Haiti, why is it that it's like, where's that money going? Because it's like by now you should see at least much more infrastructure and organization is happening on the ground, because millions of dollars are going back there.
Yeah, but it's going to the schools. It's going to feed the people. It's going to pay the hospital. It's not only going to Port-au-Prince. Remember, we have 9 other districts. We have Okap. We have Jérémie. You only seeing what's happening in Port-au-Prince. Port-au-Prince can be taken over by 3 days with a good military, a good police force. Suffocate Port-au-Prince, make people leave, and go after the gangs. They were doing it before. You saw that the people were going after the gangs. It's Ariel Henry that stopped it, because it was the police and then it was the people after. So Port-au-Prince can be suffered. The remittance are going to the people to feed them, are going to different districts, are going to schools, are going to the hospital. They're paying the people's housing, they're paying this. So the remittance are happening. If you're talking about the aid that came from Canada and the US during the first earthquake, you got to ask Hillary that, because she took all the money. Hillary and her husband took all that money. The Haitians didn't get any of that money.
So Buana, I'm sorry, before you go, can I say, I'm saying this as somebody from, I was born and raised in the United States. It's a little disturbing to me to say that you want somebody back like Duvalier, seeing as how this man was probably one of the worst human rights abusers.
Oh, please. Oh, please.
Wait. Am I wrong? Am I missing something?
Absolutely wrong. You're absolutely wrong.
Inform me. Okay. Teach me something. He wasn't one of the.
He wasn't the best, but he was no George Bush. How can you say he was every time America doesn't like a leader, they sing that human rights song, but yet they don't say it on their own selves. They don't talk about what they did to Iraq.
Hold on, because George Bush is a demon from hell. Don't get me wrong. Don't even get me started on him. Fuck him and his mama. But continue.
But Duvalier had control of the country. I'm talking about him as a leader. I'm not talking about his side jobs. He had the secret police, and United States have the secret police. Dominican Republic has secret police. Israel has a secret police. Everybody has a secret police. But when a black man does it, it's the worst thing in the world. I judge Duvalier on the fact that the country was dollar to the United States at one point. Our Haitian good was dollar to, it was the same equal value. The country, he wasn't the best leader, but he wasn't the worst leader either. You're going to have some Haitians say, oh yeah, he did this, he did that, he did this. But could you leave your door open in the middle of the night? Yes, you can. Were gang members allowed? United States started doing this deportation when Duvalier was alive. I'm not talking about the son. I'm talking about the father, Papa Doc, François Lier. They started this deportation thing where they would have people in jail for 10 years committing crimes or whatever, and then send them back to a country that don't have the infrastructure. You know what he did? He said, oh yeah, you're going to send somebody that was in an American prison for 15 years? Okay, no problem. What did the person do? Let me get their jacket. Oh, they rape and kill people? Okay, we got something for them. We got something called Titayen. It's like the Gulag in Russia. So when they came, they sent the first 6 people. He killed them. And then he showed them the bodies of he said, this is where they are. They're sitting really well. United Nations decided to send no more prisoners, because he said you can't have a country and we don't have the infrastructure to take criminals. Right now, during Obama time, during the earthquake, Obama was sending back criminals that came to United States at 2 years old, deported them, and now what they're doing, it's a crime spree in Haiti. How is all these weapons, these young boys that have weapons with flip-flops, how are they getting all these American weapons? It's coming through Dominican Republic and it's coming through the ports of Port-au-Prince. That didn't happen during Duvalier.
Interesting. Shout out to the Hash Valley podcast in the chat. And shout out to our brother Bakari who joined us on the panel here. Bakari, how are you this week?
I'm good, man. How you doing? How the panel peep in the chat?
Yes.
I want to I heard when she was talking about the Clintons stealing money and
Joy.
Yeah, I can't. What's her name? Joy. And Bawana said talking about the guy asked her that question and she responded. And I can't remember. Carl said something too, but it reminded me because the diaspora Haitians helping. When you talk about the money that the Clintons stole, the guy I remember Mo because he was a NFL Pro Bowler with the Denver Broncos, Robert Dumerville. Him and 4 more Haitians with like $1 million built more houses in Haiti than what the Clintons did with like $500 million. And they were the first ones to talk about that and said how they were taking people money. So then later when an earthquake hit again, the fast guy, Usain Bolt, he was the first person said, don't give money to Red Cross or anyone else. We will help our people. So, and I think he donated like $3 million, $5 million to Haiti. And he said, we're supposed to help our people and we're supposed to fix our situation. See, when we see it and we looking at saying what they're going through in Haiti, I see it as what Black people is going through, period. If the Haitians are going through, we're going through it. See, we can look and we'll say, oh, we're not being invaded because we're in the United States. Well, we don't have to be invaded because we're behind enemy lines. And the same shit that they're talking about doing to Haiti, about to do to Haiti, they do to us, they do to Black people all the time here in this wretched country called the United States. And that's why I say, even when it comes to something, when I tell people, when people talk about reparations, I always say it'll never be no reparations if we don't understand that it's a global fight. There will never be no true freedom the way that we want it, controlling our own, if one Black nation is still oppressed, suppressed, depressed, compressed, full court press, any kind of press you can think of. So whatever they're doing to Haiti, we can look at it and say it's Haiti. but it's actually us, right? So when she said about she went to Haiti and somebody from Germany, German guy told her when she went back home, he loved Haiti and he'll never leave. Like, how can he live so good in Haiti? It's like here where I live in the Atlanta area. I don't know if I ever told y'all about Vine City. Buwana and Koku may have heard me say it a couple times in Vine City. I've never been afraid to go into any Black neighborhood. Vine City is the one place that had me nervous as hell in broad open daylight. But now white people is going down there and it's being gentrified. You don't see people standing on the corner with their pants hanging down no more. It's like we have the venom for us, but we don't have the venom in the fight that we need to take control of what we can take control of. And the whole world is going to come at Haiti because the whole world comes at Black people. And until we understand that we're one, that we are absolutely one, don't give a damn where we are, our situation will not change We can scream we're American all the hell we want. But I tell people all the time, we ain't no American. We are legal residents. We came here, they brought us here to get filthy rich off us. We were a commodity. We were their property and we were a commodity, the greatest commodity ever imported into this country. So now it's time for us to be the commodity for ourselves and build ourselves up, not just in our neighborhoods here, but work with our neighborhoods and work with our people. This is something we should have been doing. This is something that should have been done. And when you try, we know they're going to come at us and we got to stick together. When Marcus Garvey was doing it, and I know he ain't the only one, but when Marcus Garvey was doing it, look how they came at him. So now you had the sister here. I don't know if you all ever heard of baby nap wigs. The sister here is she was Nigerian. It started here in Atlanta. Her husband was Haitian. And she got to the point where she could distribute and make and manufacture her own wigs. And China tried to get her to bring it, her plant and stuff. And she was like, she's not Chinese. Her people in Haiti need jobs. So that's what she was going to build her manufacturing plant and everything. So black people in Haiti, so they could produce their own wigs in a black country, a black owned business in a black country with black products produced by black hands that's bought by black women. When you see a lot of these, I'll say women in like their 50s and they had this natural look and it's real, had this real long natural look on their head. Well, lots of the time it's a wig and it's baby nap wig. But what I'm saying is she's Nigerian, her husband was Haitian. She understood what's going on in Haiti. And that's what we have to understand, that we are one. We can't continue to look and separate and say they're Haitian. And I know this is something me and Carl ain't gonna ever agree on. He say he for all the oppressed people in the world. If those oppressed people ain't black, they can remain oppressed. Because when they get the chance to oppress black people, that's what they do. It's time for us to just say, I'm for us.
Yes, I totally agree.
For us to just say, I'm for, though Dominicans would say they're oppressed, but look what they'll do to the Haitians. Them damn so-called them Native Americans on the reservation would say they're oppressed, but go to the damn Golden Moon Casino in on the Choctaw Reservation in Philadelphia, Mississippi, and watch the welcome you get from them. You know, and I ain't knocking Carl for that. I'm just saying, for me, I can't look out and feed other people if I can't take care of myself and feed me. So we got to start taking care of ourselves and feeding us. And on that, I'll yield the mic. I know I probably was rambling and ranting. I went for a minute, so I'm done.
So listen, when I say I'm for oppressed people, I'm not for oppressed people that's giving us the middle finger. Now, like to quote DMX, if it's fuck me, then you know it's fuck you. But if you showed me that you have some level of solidarity with black people, then I'm going to respect that. But like you said, I've never been to the Choctaw Reservation, but I've been to the Cherokee Nation, and I've seen the Confederate flags that they fly out there in North Carolina. So fuck them. You know, I have no support for them. But for those that understand that we have a common enemy and we have their interests lie in black people's liberation, then I support them. Outside of that, then they're on their own.
Okay, you know what? I get that.
I find something interesting.
Let me say this right quick. I get that. Black Steel, I get that. And I understand exactly what you mean. And there ain't no problem with that. So, and I mentioned the Native Americans. So the problem with that, the Native Americans that actually had our back, they just took them and just made them motherfuckers become, pardon my French, and just made them become Cherokee or Choctaws. And now y'all got to become part of the like the Natchez Indians. They just took them and made them. Y'all got to go be. Some of them was just forced into the Cherokee. Some of them was just forced into the Choctaw. So 200-300 years later, they just Cherokee and Choctaw now. But those are one of the tribes that actually had our back. So I do understand. I do understand what you're saying when you said what you just said. I just want to say that.
I'm glad that Junie came on this show to show some variance in terms of how the diaspora thinks, in particular with Haiti, because some people, when they hear the words Duvalier, you know, in a white person's head, that's a complete enemy. You know what I mean? But there are some Haitians who love Papa Doc, love Papa Doc. And there are some people who despise Aristide. Some Haitian people who despise Aristide. Juni just happened to be one of them. But last week, when Arzuli was on the show, Arzuli sounded like he was an Aristide guy. You know, I was an Aristide guy, but I questioned the second time he came into office. So I glad that she came on to show the variance of opinion on the term on this guy called the value, because the Western world sees him as a complete enemy. Not so much Haitian people. Not so much. You know, it depends on which Haitian you talking to. You know, so I glad she had some opinions on the value that's different from the norm, and it was kind of like it's refreshing because you don't usually hear that. You don't usually hear that, but I'll leave it there.
No, I agree with you, Buana, because, you know, again, we're fed so much propaganda within the news that you really don't know who to support and who to be against. Because usually, if the West is supporting somebody, you probably should be against them. If they got a problem with them, you probably should be supporting them. So usually the opposite. So it's always good to hear a perspective from someone who actually experienced that. So no, I agree with you.
You know, something when you I can't remember the name.
I wasn't born during Papa Doc. This is something that I read and my family used to tell me. And then when you look at the economy of the country, you say, oh, wow, you know, I'm not saying he was the best. He was ruthless. But at some point, you have to be ruthless when you're creating a country and when you're sustaining a country. Did he do a lot of mistakes? Yes. I don't mean to cut you off. I think, and I want to get 2 more points out of there, but just go and then I'll add 2 more points.
Bakari?
Oh, yeah. What I wanted to say was when I can't remember the guy who she was talking about with Black Steel, and she was like, that wasn't true. And it reminded me of the things that I say about Idi Amin. And when I talk to people from who I actually know who lived during Idi Amin's reign, excuse me, from Uganda, Rwanda, and Kenya. And the people that I've met from Rwanda and the Kenyan, right? They love, and the ones I met from Uganda, they love Idi Amin regardless of what the news said about him here. They talked about how the news lied on him. They say the first thing that the reason the news started to lie on him, the first thing when he said, I'm not saying Idi Amin is perfect, but I like Idi Amin being in charge. When he took everything from foreigners, all them Arabs, all them East Indians, and anybody else that wasn't an African, they were kicked out of the country. What they don't tell you about Idi Amin here is, because my friend from Kenya, this is how he grew up in Uganda. His parents, Idi Amin was reaching out to African nations. If you were Black, you can come to Uganda and we will help you. And that's how his parents ended up in Uganda with a business, because Idi Amin was reaching out to country 7. So when they say Idi Amin gave all of this stuff to everybody that was just part of his tribe and part of his clique, I come to find out from people that's there and lived during that time, is like, that is not true. Because the guys I'm talking, they were like completely different tribes, wasn't part of the crew. Idi Amin was reaching out to Black people. And I can't even remember the president name that took Idi Amin's place. If anybody can say, do anybody remember the guy who came after Idi Amin?
Yeah, his name is Milton Obote.
Now, if you read him, what stories do you hear about him? But then you read and see what people say about him, and what they said about him, what they wrote about him. And I talked to my people about that, and they was like, they're telling the truth. They say he was the one who was actually killing people who wasn't part of his tribe. And when Idi Amin said they were trying to kill him, he was trying to kill Idi Amin off. And they say he actually killed. They say he actually genocide. The guy was telling me he actually genocide probably like 1 million Kenyans. But the point, I said all that to say, I understand what the sister was saying when she was like, that's not true. That's what they taught us here. And if we don't, and like Bawana just said, And then Carl was like, teach him, because he didn't know, right? We know what we heard over here and what somebody may have wrote over here. But if we don't talk to people from these places, and if we don't talk to our people from these places, we will only go on the story that they want to spin to us, because they want us to keep some negative image of our people in our head at all times, especially if that person was doing something good.
Any other last thoughts on this prompt? Okay.
I want to bring up the fact that I know this might be like taboo, but in the Caribbean or in Africa itself, we always have to have some sellouts. Like, I don't know, it's a question that I'm always asking, like, what gets a person to sell out their country, their countrymen, but it seems like it's an ongoing theme with us. Like,
So I don't think that the sellout thing is particular.
I'll say we don't have a race first. We don't have. Carl, go ahead. I was just saying I don't think we have a race first ideology, and also like Harsh Rowdy Podcast said in the chat, economics is money. These guys can out reward us, But go ahead, Carl. Black.
No, I was gonna say that, like you were saying, it's a race first because of the money, and also too, we don't really have a mechanism to punish our traders like they should be punished. Selling out is not particular to African people, Caribbean. That's something that's always happened. But I think that the people who sell us out, they're able to grow old with their families. They're not getting hung. They're not getting set on fire. There's no real consequences to selling out. I think, unfortunately, many times we celebrate some of the people who sell us out in many ways, especially here in the US. A lot of our Black sellouts they get, television deals, and they get, record labels and things like that. They get celebrated. So I think that the issue is more so not just them selling out for money, but then there's no real consequences for it when they sell out from us. When the dude who sold out Norway to the Germans, they shot him. The Jewish person who gave up Anne Frank, they hung her. What are we doing with our sellouts and our traders? How are we sanctioning them?
Yeah, Carl, you Black Steel, you are correct. It's about reward and punishment. These our enemies can give the higher reward, and we can give the greater punishment. And that's a state of being powerless. That's why we got to fix that. We got to find a way to go around these sellout leaders, and we got to fix it. We got to really and truly, we need to initiate more race first consciousness amongst our people. I think it has to be in the education from childhood. It has to be in the culture that you just don't do that. Does anyone else want to comment to that? All right, I guess not. That is how much time we have left here. We don't have much time to do another topic, so that's going to be the final topic for tonight. While you guys are here with me on the panel still, I'd like to get a shout out from everyone. So, Brother Bakari, what would you like to shout out this week?
Hey man, y'all check out Millie Merch Apparel. Check out Millie Merch Apparel, man. That's what I want to shout out. I'm gonna shout out a Black-owned business, Millie Merch Apparel. Check out Millie Merch Apparel. If you in Florida, and I think that's what I think D Webb said he's in Florida, and if he's around they ain't made it to where Black Steel at yet, but if he's around Jacksonville, if you see a Save-A-Lot grocery store around Jacksonville, Florida, and you see the name changing to the Yellow Banana, that is a Black-owned grocery chain 3 brothers, Nigerian, African American, and a Puerto Rican brother. Say they wanted to address the food desert issues in our community. So if you are around the Jacksonville, Florida area, and you see a yellow banana and you want to get some groceries, check out the yellow banana. They're not only in Jacksonville, they're in more than Jacksonville, but I was just saying that because I know D Web. I think he said he's in Florida, not that I know, but that's a black-owned grocery. They haven't made it to Black Steel area yet, but they say they are coming soon. But that's what I want to shout out. Support Black business, Still Black Business Challenge, and let's shut down everybody in our community and create us some community-owned businesses.
Thank you for that. Yeah, Webb confirmed he's in that Florida area. Thank you for that, Brother Bakari. Thanks for coming through too. Black Steel, you want to shout anything out this week?
Nothing really shout out. But thanks for everyone who showed up to the panel. I really appreciate all the different perspectives and everything else like that. And can we get some more women on the panel? You know, it's always good to hear a lady's voice.
Invite one of them 100 women in South Florida. Black Steel. Invite some of your lady friends. Them 100.
Yeah, but it's true though. Nice conversations really come out when we have both Black men and Black women on the panel. With that said, Joni, it's been a while since I've seen you. How have you been?
I've been okay. Oh, sorry. So sorry. How have you been? I've been okay. You gotta it's getting wild in America.
Right.
But I want to shout out, I want to shout out the West African countries that are coming together. Some East African countries like Rwanda, Ethiopia, Eritrea. 2 thumbs down to Kenya. I believe that they're selling out, but I think big things are happening for Africa, and I'm very happy for that because I think soon America is becoming a sinking ship, and we're gonna have to be leaving soon. That's what I feel.
Becoming? You mean it's already?
I mean, like if you're right, but we're gonna have to make a choice if we're gonna stay or leave, like because I wouldn't want to be here if there's a depression.
Appreciate that, Joni. The invitation is there for you to join us as often as you see fit.
I definitely will come back more. This came across. I work in a pharmaceutical company, and it's kind of like really rough right now because of COVID. So that we have like super orders, but I definitely will. I love this shooting the breeze. I love hearing all you guys' different opinions, and it just made my night tonight.
Appreciate that. Last but not least, Wana Gaziki, what say you? What do you want to shout out this week?
It's been a very interesting show. Shout out to Junie M first of all for giving a female perspective. The Haitian sister has brought a different dynamic. Let me say that in regards to the how Haitians feel about a particular thing, because well, I'm even gonna go there. I really appreciate her perspective on things. As far as the brothers tonight who contributed, shout out to all of them. They've been very good in their contributions, very good. You know, shout out to you too, Koku. For keep bringing it. As far as you mentioned something to me that piqued my interest. I would hate to think that our sister had nefarious intentions in coming here and just leaving all of a sudden. I would hate to believe that, where our names are on some file somewhere with our pictures. But even if that was to be the case, I don't get when I express who I am and what I am, I don't express that lightly. Gavi had international enemies, in his lifetime. So who am I to not expect to have the same kind of one? So and Gavi went through the same kinds of different things in his lifetime. So I expect to have naysayers. And it'll be unfortunate if that was one of our naysayers. That would really be unfortunate and hurtful. but that's something that I'll have to just get over and deal with because I love that system. But like I say, shout out to everyone who contributed to the panel tonight and give good commentary, and I'll see you all next week.
So, Buana, they ain't talked to you at work yet? Because I know they talked to me.
hey, Black Steel, I hope that you see Black Steel changed his name. You see, he had a reason why he
I had a reason to change my name.
Definitely. So he found it important to do so. But even if that's the case, you're playing a game where we all of us know that we are open to the global world and our comments are being heard from the global world. So we may not necessarily know how to come back at us, but you just have some testicular fortitude and keep on going forward. That's what I would say. Keep on walking forward. No fear, man, no fear. But I'll leave it there, man.
Yeah. Thanks for reminding me about that comment. That comment is really a general comment using a particular example. I think Bakari was joking when he said it, but it made me remember a thought I had about these things from before. When I see folks coming in real hot and heavy, and then just like that, you just kind of disappear, you fall off. I don't know, man. I have to view that with some suspicion. I think rightfully so. And I think we should be aware that, what we're doing, there'll be folks who definitely are oppositional to us even being able to articulate the thoughts that we articulate, much less having certain ideologies. So let's just be mindful of it. And also, we need to be mindful of it. It's like if I just disappeared off the face of the internet. I just disappeared one day, no nothing. And you just don't hit. You'll have to wonder what was up with that dude. So just keep those things in mind and be safe out there, everyone. You guys be good. We'll be back next week. Bring a friend next week. Let's try double the numbers next week or triple them even. You guys be good. Check out all the other shows on KWAZ Radio. I'll be back with you guys next week. I might be back during the week if I could get it cleared up to comment further on that trigger happy comment. So look out for that. But until next time, you guys be good.
Before you go, please. I got somebody I want to bring on your show and you interview him.
Okay.
He been on my show before. I done said all this and I done had a brain fart and forgot his name. I'll find my show. His name is David. He do music and everything. His David Benton. He's a good brother though. He's a good brother. He's a good positive brother. But I told him I wanted to and he also has a radio show that he want me to be on, and he said if anybody I know I can bring them on there with me. So just to let you know that they do have their own internet radio program too. So I want to introduce them to folks.
Yeah, just email me or have him email me and we'll do it. We'll have an interview. All right. With that said, I'll see you guys next week. You guys be good. Peace.
Thanks for listening to the Bitter Medicine Podcast with your host, Koku. If you like what you just heard, we hope you pass along our web address, bittermedicineblogs.com, to your friends and colleagues, and share our show to all your social media. Be sure to check out our archive section on our website for previous podcasts. This has been a KWAZ radio production. Join us next time for another session of the Bitter Medicine Podcast. Follow us on Facebook at Bitter Medicine Show, Twitter, Bitter Meds, Tumblr, Bitter Meds, Instagram, Bitter Medicine.